Alrighty, Lionel with you. And here we go on the other side of midnight. I don't even know where to start. I'm going to do my best. I'm just going to start off with, in no particular order, I'm going to just let it go. I have never heard, this is my whole weekend, by the way, so I'm just catching up with you now. I have never heard such nonsense politically. This country, from supposedly the most politically astute, is the most juvenescent, puerile, or puerile, sophomoric, idiotic, simpleton nonsense from the biggest bunch of poltroons and blatherskites and dimwits, iconas, dumb. People don't know anything. Nothing. It is this, I turn everything off. If I want to know what is going on, this is, let me give you an example, okay? Let's assume we're, because everybody thinks they're into intel. Everybody's like a CIA agent, and it used to be the NSA. Notice how we don't, nobody talks about the NSA anymore. Nobody talks about it. Remember, no such agency. Nobody talks about it. We're back to CIA. Okay. If you and I wanted to find out, or if you and I wanted to, what's the word? Get a clue as to what the enemy was doing, what do you think we would do? Where would we go? Probably hear what the enemy's saying. Don't you think? Isn't that what a spy does? See, a spy goes to the enemy to see what the enemy is saying. You dig? Capiche? This is what okay? Okay. So let's take, okay, this is against my better judgment, but I'm going to do this because I want to maybe make somebody say, you know, I never thought about that. First, you understand my focus. I think it's important for me to tell you this. I am an American citizen. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I'm not an independent. I'm an American citizen. That's it. Politics, naming politics to me is like trying to describe my music. Good luck. Good luck. I don't know what to. I'll give you my Spotify channel. If you can figure out any kind of rhyme or reason or theme, good luck. Okay? Good luck. Good luck. So that's the thing. The parties mean nothing. Number two, American, how do I say this? American, standard, usual suspect political talk, especially on cable news, is demented, subtard level, childish, ridiculous. People know nothing. Nobody, they just sit back. Let me explain this to you. Listen to me carefully. They expect the news to be thrown at you. I've got on my phone the library at Alexandria, the Library of Congress, every conceivable work, every definition. I am awash. Did you know there's something now called ChatGPT psychosis? It's true. People are finding themselves actually talking to and becoming a fan, or actually either they call it a bot, but it's not really a bot. But they are referring to ChatGPT as a kind of a person, and they're losing their minds within the notion of ChatGPT and others as well, AI or whatever you want to call it. Okay, but irrespective. So going back to what I'm saying, nobody knows anything. Let me give you an example. Zoran Mamdani. Zoran the moron, Mamdani. Everybody just thinks if we yell loudest, if we laugh at him, mock him, call him a socialist or a Marxist or a communist, or if we just do that, he'll go away. He'll say, well, I'm not going to run. Why? Well, they're calling me oh my God, look who's, oh my God, they're calling me a commie. I'm not ready for this. Are you kidding me? Yeah, unbelievable. unbelievable. Do you have any idea? No. Well, what do you want to do? Nothing. Well, who's going to up against him? Well, I guess. And they have these ideas like, well, I think so-and-so should win because in my mind, I'm going to Carolina. No, in my mind, I think this guy is so bad that he cannot win. What? Well, because I think he's crazy. Yeah, but they don't. Well, maybe, this is where we are. This certitude. I'm not even going to go through it because I don't think people really want to hear what I have to say because it will just destroy this black and white, apodictic, Manichaean, good versus evil. I am a realist, to use the Mearsheimer term. I don't care what things are. I don't want this guy anywhere near the mayoralty. But I got news for you. Unless we have a population transplant, this guy's going to win because you're not paying attention. You think that somehow that if somebody makes a joke about him, that you're going to take yesterday. Gay pride. Okay. You want to talk about it? Fine. People, I'm going to tell you something that needs to be done regarding gay pride. If you really don't like it, if it really bothers you, and there's a lot about it which is absolutely. I'm going to tell you what to do, but nobody would ever do it. But I'm going to tell you anyway. Ignore them. Ignore them. I can go on X, and X, I still can't say X. And if I go to my usual Dom Luker, if I go to Libs of TikTok, if I go to the usual suspect, Colin, what's his name? They will show me everything there is to know about everything. Oh, look at this twerking. Oh, here's so-and-so. They show me everything. And the folks who are the promoters of this are saying, thank you. Thank you. Why are you doing this? Because they think, well, first of all, people on X or whatever, their job is to say, I said this first. They take the clip, they strip it, upload it as their end so that when you refer to it, their name is at the bottom. You know how that works. So that they can say, look at me, how do I say this? I took this. This is my piece. Okay. You want me to go through the whole gay right thing? You want me to go? You want to talk about how it's really not about gay pride? What are they proud about? You want to do that? What good does it do? What? You think I don't know this? I hate people who, I shouldn't say hate. I can't stand people who want to sit around and talk about things they already know. Now let me explain to you what's going on. What he said was so incredible. And you're not paying attention. Because what he did was they asked during a debate with Cuomo, who's not out yet, say, what's he going to do? If he doesn't get this, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? People normally would run to him and say, oh, you got to put you on this board and that board. He's like Typhoid Mary. This is all he's got. So you got him, you got Eric Adams. Okay, fine. During the course of the debate, for some reason, I guess they said, what? I forget the question. What's the first thing you're going to do? If you're a mayor, what's the first place you're going to go? What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Everybody said, oh, I'm going to the Holy Land. I'm going to go to Israel. Of course, I'm going to go to Israel. I'm going to go to Israel. Everybody, I'm going to go to Israel. Okay. They get to Mamdani. He said, I'm staying here. I'm the mayor of New York. People, you don't want to hear this, loved that. That would have been the answer. Maybe say it differently. I'm going to first address here. I am the mayor of New York. No. Everybody went in one particular direction so that they could all fight this out. He stood out. And that was the first thing that made people who never would have paid any attention to him look at that and say, wow, this guy's independent. He's not paying attention. This is my kind of guy. Now, I don't care whether you like that. I don't care whether it means anything. It doesn't matter what you think. That is what he won people over. Who did he win over? Ready for this? Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, go down the list. They said that's the way, because people do not want to hear reality. Do you want to hear political reality, or do you want to hear the way things are? Do you want to hear that? You want to hear that? And if I was at the White House, I would close the door and say, Mr. President, you got to hear what I have to say, but I only want you to hear this. And I would ask him, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? How can somebody so smart as you be doing this? Do you know what's happening? Do you understand what we're looking at right here? No, they don't. No. He is pulled in so many directions. So that's number one. So for the first time, all of a sudden, there is this contingent of people. And I'm not going to go into, I'm not even going to deign. I'm not even going to suggest. We're not going to talk about Israel versus Palestine. Not here. No. But let me tell you something. You know who they say? They say politics makes strange bedfellows. Let me tell you something who's on the same page. Ready for this? I heard something the other day. I was listening on my YouTube cycle or whatever that thing's called. Not cycle, but that the channel, the rotation. And I heard a woman who was absolutely brilliant giving the history and the reality regarding Iran. Absolutely. Okay? And I thought, I wonder who this is. You're not going to believe who it was. Joy Reid. I thought, oh my God, I'm agreeing with Joy Reid. Not in terms of just the history, the perspective, because there's a lot to this. The way they see it, the way we see it, it's very, nothing is, again, black and white, Manichaean, apodictic, right, wrong, up, down. There are shades and gradations. Okay, I'm listening to that. So now I'm going to have this tent. And in this tent, I'm going to have Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Theo Vaughn, Joe Rogan, and now we're going to throw in Joy Reid. I heard Greta Thunberg the other day. She was absolutely spot on. I go, oh no, I'm agreeing with Greta Thunberg, at least regarding certain aspects. She's in the list. Then you got Judge Napolitano, you got Colonel McGregor, you've got John Mearsheimer, you got Jeffrey Sachs, you've got Alistair Crook, you've got that, you've got the world, Javier Bardem. They're all in this tent. People who would normally have nothing to do with each other, nothing whatsoever. All of a sudden, people are saying, they're agreeing, not in toto, but regarding certain aspects of our ridiculously psychotic, schizoid foreign policy. It's nuts. America First is through. It's done. I don't know what we're talking about here. Nobody wants to address this. Nobody. So you've got this and here's the best part. Everybody was saying, don't you understand? The people of Iran are so fraught with division that a coup is most likely. Don't you understand that the people of Iran are so ripe for a revolution? Not anymore. Not anymore. No way. Nothing. They don't. It's unbelievable. And I want to say, Mr. President, what are you doing? What is happening here? Now listen to me and stop what you're doing. And let me say right now that I hope nothing happens that I think is going to happen, or that I would put it this way. You know, when weathermen say, the conditions right now are perfect for a hurricane, not a hurricane, but a tornado. But you got to look out for a tornado watch. Well, because situations are perfect. You know what a false flag is, right? You know what this is. It's been around since the days of the pirates. Pirate ships, they would hoist the flag of the other country or team or side, and they would go into a port and they'd say, aha, booga booga, guess what? It's a false flag. Such a silly trick. But on July the 4th, did you see this? All these rollouts, all this. Do you see what's being set up? If, jumping to the future, if somebody says, somebody's like these warmongers, like the typical, like the Cottons and the Lindsey Grahams and the neocons and everybody, they are dying dying for something. They want war more than anything you've ever seen in your life. Get ready, because conditions are perfect for this. And if you don't know this, you don't know anything about history. You don't know anything about it. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Anybody talking about this? No. Not here. Not here. Do you know somebody was talking the other day about the Iranians were issuing a fatwa? Or as I heard it one time, called a fatwa. You know what fatwa is? No? Guess what? Do people look it up? Nope. You know what it is? Nope. You know what jihad is? Nope. You know what Sharia means? No. They have this idea that Sharia means cutting people's hands off or something. They've never read it. That for some reason along the line said, I am incapable of understanding what these terms are that I speak about so whether it's a constitution, the Bible, history, or Muslim law. They just assume that by virtue of knowing the name, whatever they want to say about it, they can just incorporate it. Well, guess what? That ain't the way that works. And as we say in the South, that dog don't hunt.
The Other Side of Midnight.
Who was the one who told Trump YMCA? Seriously, does Trump have? I mean, I love the guy. How about you can't always get what you want? What does that mean? What does that mean? Here he is. Here comes Trump. I'm a man's man. YMCA. Hey! Does he know? Does he? How about It's Raining Men by Paul Schaefer, who wrote that? I mean, I don't understand either. I swear to God. I don't understand any of this stuff. Would somebody please tell me what Kash Patel is doing? Kash, shut up! Shut up! You two and Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino, I said, you're not going to believe this. I'm here. Kash is here at 6 a.m. People do this all the time. You know who you're talking to, right, Dan? I got news for you, but burning the midnight oil. Uh-huh. A lot of people do this. Dan acts like he's just, we're actually working. I get there early in the morning. He's an idiot. I don't understand this. And Pam Bondi, bless her heart, we're from the same. Whatever happened with what? Epstein? Huh? What? What are we doing? How about this the other day when President Trump was saying, don't you understand? We blew the hell out of those 3 places. And everybody, I know nobody's going to listen to Iran, but they were saying, no, Isfahan and Natanz, they were already blown up. No, they weren't. Yeah, they were. No, they weren't. We blew them up again. There was a hole in the ground. There was not a hole in the ground. We blew them up. Okay. And Fordo? No. That was good. Well, no, they moved all the fissile. No, they didn't. And what did they do? Say, look. And there was a picture of the New York Post. It was a picture of an explosion. Like a ground when an explosion. Go, see? Or they showed the diagram. The diagram of the bunker buster. That's like in the old days when you knew there was this thing at the back of music magazines. It was this blackhead remover, this thing that would suck the blackheads out. And he showed this guy who had dots on his face. And in the second picture, the dots were missing. So you knew it worked because what? You ever see that with these commercials where they say before and after? Do you have a stain? Watch it. This vinyl repair kit. Look at this. Oh, damn, there's a hole in my vinyl. Watch this. And they scrape this, they put this piece and they show you another part of the vinyl that's not torn and people believe it. It's like the worst magic there is. Mr. President, what are you doing? And this big, beautiful bill, have you seen this thing? What are you talking? There's there's a stay for any kind of AI regulation for 10 years. What are you doing? Elon's pissed off. Something's wrong with Elon, too. Is it the ketamine? I'm just saying. I don't know. I have no reason to believe that. They talk a lot of stuff about what he's doing, but 1 minute he's with the kid on his leg. Oh, I love Trump. Next thing you know, what's the matter? Who are these people? I don't understand this. It's been 100 and I forget, about 10% so far. And July 4th, look, I don't want to be, if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. But I don't want to be right about this one. But I got news for you. The last place in the world I'm going is D.C. on July 4th. No way. No. Absolutely not. So what I'm telling you is simply this. And I go back to what I said. I am an American. And I'm not a member of a particular party. And I don't care what parties do. They mean nothing to me. They mean absolutely nothing. Do you think I have anything to do with Lindsey Graham? By the way, speaking of YMCA, I'm just saying. You know what's so funny? We have all of these leftist people there. Oh, we're doing this great. You know how many Hollywood folks are closeted and everybody knows who they are? Everybody. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I've got one more thing to say. You know, these folks who are doing this lunatic stuff about, this gay, whatever. I don't know. I really, first of all, I don't understand. Remember, gay pride came right after Stonewall, and that was an important thing. That was a huge piece. That was civil rights. My God, it was the most incredibly horrible thing anybody's ever seen before, how people were being arrested and corralled merely because they weren't bothering anybody. They're dancing with somebody alone. Anyway, times have changed. So that's where it started. I have a friend of mine who, as I always say, very gay. I love that expression. He's very gay. And he said, I've been gay, he's in his 70s. He says, I don't know any trans. I mean, somebody might wear a dress, but cross-dresser, but we don't know any trans people. That's not, we're back to this. It's 30 past the hour. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. 30 past the hour on the other side of midnight. Okay. Remember the first rule was not the first hour. Second hour, yes. But you know what? It changes. You're like Trump. You just change. Wait a minute. You said no. No. Trump tomorrow will say, I've been thinking about this and this isn't right. Wait a minute. You just said, yeah, it's kind of like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Don't say that. Don't say that. I don't fit in. I don't fit in. It is so obvious. What are you doing? Oh, let's go back to not back. Let's start the phones. Linda in New Jersey. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yes, hello.
Linda.
Lionel, you're hilarious. I love you.
Thank you.
I would like to see that the first new jobs that our new Muslim mayor of New York is going to have is he is offering the first jobs idea for New York is for sex workers.
Yep.
He will be decriminalizing it. The most demoralizing job since the history of
absolutely.
And I would like to add, is he offering the same jobs for Muslim women, or is it just us infidels?
Oh, touche, Linda. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, you like that, right? Because it's true.
I got to tell you something. My beloved wife has her nonprofit is called linswarriors.org. And she has a YouTube channel, Lynn's Warriors. And it's on, works with the White House. It's about trafficking, you name it. For some reason, and maybe you can help me with this, and she fights this all the time. There is this, I call it the Pretty Baby, Pretty Woman. Pretty Baby was, what's her name, the actress, or the model. Anyway.
Brooks.
Pretty Woman, Brooke Shields. And Pretty Woman was this nonsense of, there's this wonderful, this Cinderella story. Here's Julia Roberts. Oh, there's Richard Gere. And by the way, when I say Richard Gere, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What's the first thing? Richard Gere. What's the first thing? Say it!
Well, actually, ICT, International Campaign for Tibet, but I'm Tibetan.
Okay. All right,
I'm not Tibetan, but I'm a Buddhist.
Well, yeah, you and I are from a different thing. There are certain.
You're right.
There's a certain form of phylum Rodentia. For some reason, I have no idea why this comes up. In any event, so there's this idea that somehow women can go out there and they say, you know what? I'm going to go out and set my hours, like driving an Uber. I'm going to go out and I'm going to be a sex worker. And then, and I used to believe in this libertarian crap about, who are we? Who is the government to say that a woman cannot contract? There was not one woman who was ever grown up saying, I want to be a prostitute. I want to be a sex worker. And by the way, these stupid kids online who think they know what it is, they're out of their minds. This guy is, remember though, Linda, Mamdani is a puppet. He is a marionette. He's
also very disgusting. I mean, even for suggesting that.
No, but
we've already legalized marijuana, and where has it brought us into New York City? Pretty soon the government is going to be competing with the mafia. With the
what do you mean competing? The mafia is competing with the government. What are you talking about? You got to pass backwards. This is a guy who also came along and who says these things because there's a group of people out there like that. Cynthia Nixon and those folks and Tisha James, and to see it for some reason, people have to understand that in New York City in particular, there are groups of people who believe that they are a part of this leftist, idyllic kind of leftist world where they think they believe in things because it is the thing to think that they believe in. I don't know what you call it. They're also motivated for the most part by this absolute hatred of President Trump. And somehow the two merge into this. But here is the bottom line, Linda. I agree with you 100%. Now, what is being done? Everybody's either A, threatening to leave. That's my favorite. Everybody makes fun of Rosie O'Donnell because she went to Ireland and actually did leave. Alec Baldwin didn't leave. Robert De Niro didn't leave. Okay, so the first thing, so the hardcore Republicans who say, how dare you impuissant twit, you're leaving. What do they say? We're leaving. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I don't know why there is not an influx, why everybody, where the group of the people who would be affected, the millionaires and the billionaires and the Wall Streeters, and put together a massive campaign using people like Peter Thiel, now that we need him, Elon Musk, and say, I want you to hit us with bots. I want to see a media campaign that this guy will not know what hit him. All the truth. Nothing
Great
fake.
Idea.
And I
Where
mean
is it? Right.
bots. Everything they do to us. I mean every single night. And to have vigils. People who want to, and by the way, I think this Commissioner Tish is so great. I never saw it coming. I never knew she'd be this good. They wouldn't even let gay cops.
I love these names, Tish, Fanny. I mean, really kind of.
Well, there's Tish. It depends which Tish, So anyway, but we need to. But see, Linda, what happens is the left. They're so good. They never stop. Thank God for the Supreme Court last week that overruled this judicial imperialism where one federal district court in Bug Tussle, Montana can invalidate an entire governmental program. Thank God they got rid of that. And this Ketanji Brown Jack, what a chidrula. My God. Does she know what she's even talking about? What is happening? But the thing is, they're not going to stop. They're going forward. So what, and I'm going to say this for shorthand purposes. What do? Nothing. We just complain. Complain. And we think that if I make a joke or if Greg Gutbucket or somebody puts together some comedy routine, that somehow is going to percolate and filter down to the masses. And somebody will say, well, we've obviously made a big mistake. Why? Well, because, typhus or whatever these people's names are. I don't know who Jesse Waters is. Like, they think people honestly believe that there is this, that the Mount Olympus, that the Vatican of rational thought is Fox News. That if that speaks out, that's all that's done. That's it. That people are going to change the way they think. Also, Linda, I think you might agree. I told somebody the other day, I said, foreign affairs, international relations. If you want to know what is going on there, you must understand what the Iranian people are thinking.
Right.
Now, where do you go? You know what they'll do? Well, go to the New York Post or what? No! Read Tehran Times or whatever. I'm not saying agree with them. What are they saying? What Americans, they have this idea that there's this fomenting crazy. Let me give you an example of something. When I speak out in terms of reality, you know what I'll be called racist, homophobe, conspiracy theorist, anti-Semite, anti-American. I'm anti-everything. If I say, I want you to look at this, I want you to understand something, I want you to pay attention. If I give you the reality regarding, let's say, the Supreme Court vis-a-vis abortion, I'm called an anti-woman or misogynist. No, that doesn't work anymore.
Hey, pro-baby.
Well, but not only that, put it this way. I can tell you why there is no constitution. I know we're doing a lot of subjects out, but that's the way it goes. I can show you why there is no constitutional right to have an abortion where I can still remain to be pro-choice. And they're saying, can you do that? Yes. Let me give you an example of something while we're on the phone, okay? Did you hear Mamdani? Zoran the moron. Zoran says,
Yes.
Zoran says, I forget who he was. He said, if Bibi Netanyahu came to New York, he would arrest him. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You know what would happen if he did that?
No,
See?
I don't think he's able to do it.
As anybody, but see, you say that, and I love you to death, and I appreciate that, but you say, I don't think he can do that. If Zoran Mamdani somehow became mayor, God forbid, he would have absolutely zero legal authority to arrest someone like Bibi Netanyahu, whatever you think about him, on the basis of warrants from the International Criminal Court, the ICC, or the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, for a number of reasons. Can I give them to you? Number one, the U.S. is not a member of the ICC. The U.S. never ratified the Rome Statute. Therefore, U.S. law enforcement agencies are not bound by the warrants. In fact, Congress passed laws like the American Service Members Protection Act prohibiting cooperation with the ICC in most cases. Number one. Number two, Zoran, you have no foreign policy or arrest authority. The mayor of New York City cannot unilaterally issue arrests related to international law or foreign heads of state. Arresting Netanyahu, or anybody for that matter, would require federal law enforcement action, the FBI, U.S. Marshals, State Department cooperation, and even then it would be not only political suicide, it may very well be authority that could be tantamount to seditious conspiracy or something which absolutely is outside the bounds of anything you can do. The next thing is that sitting heads of state have immunity. International custom and U.S. practice afford immunity to sitting foreign leaders. Even countries that recognize the ICC typically don't arrest foreign leaders. Remember Putin or Bashir in Sudan? They don't do this. The next thing is, if this guy were to attempt an arrest, it would be political theater and a crime. Any local NYPD officer, anybody acting on Mamdani's, quote, order, and even that's a whole jurisdictional thing, but in order to detain Netanyahu for any reason, would be acting illegally outside of the bounds of jurisdiction and would risk immediate legal and diplomatic consequence. Mamdani could be removed from office or sued for abuse of power, could be arrested himself. The State Department or Secret Service would instantly intervene. And the bottom line is, even in his most delusional, psychotic, activist fantasy, whatever you think about Bibi, whatever, it doesn't matter. Zoran Mamdani cannot arrest a foreign head of state on international charges the U.S. does not recognize. It would be pure political performance, pure political theater, reckless, illegal, dangerous. I mean, so instead of people saying, oh, this is so wonderful. Now, that's to be differentiated from when he said, no, I'm going to stay in New York. I think that was a good idea. I think it's ridiculous to say, yeah, as soon as I'm a mayor of New York, I'm going to go to a different country. No, stop it. You're going to stay right here. This is the nonsense we're hearing. So what happens? What are people saying? I don't know. What are we doing? I don't know. We're just making fun of him. We're just going to make fun of his name or call him. Oh, here's the best one too. He is not a communist. He is not a Marxist. He is not a socialist. Socialists hate when people think that theirs is the gutter trap, the end all, the kind of like the grease trap for anybody who's a leftist. What he wants is a welfare state giveaway. That is not socialism. That's not a planned government. It's not communism. It's not Fidel or Mao. Doesn't work like that. What he's talking about doesn't exist. If you sat down with Marx, Lenin, Mao Zedong, North Korea, whoever, and said, let me explain to you what I want to do. I just want to give people stuff. Are you seizing anything? No. Are you in charge of production? No, I just want to just give people stuff. Here, we're going to have free bus fare, free stores. That's not communism. That's not, I know what that is. Castro would be saying, what is that? I don't do that. What are you talking about? That's it? You're just going to give people stuff? Well, that might be a start. But here is the bottom line. Who is the person who's actually running the story? Who is pulling the strings? Who is writing the script? Who is it? This is a, look, we have some great people in the world. Whatever it takes for you, if you don't like what he said, and this is interesting, there are people who are adamantly 100% against the Bibi's position or position or posture regarding Palestine. Okay, or Iran. Okay, fine. Or Hezbollah. Or Lebanon. Okay, fine. They're over here. Right? That's one group. There are other people who are against it. The Tuckers and Marjorie Taylor Greene and everything. Now, but they're also against Zoran, but they like the fact that he said, okay, I'm going to stay in New York, but they don't want him as mayor. Let me try this again. Follow me on this. They like what he said about not leaving New York, but they don't like him enough to want him as mayor. And there are other people who are going to be reaching out and saying, let's say the Ackmans and others who were saying, I want to do everything in my power to keep him legally from taking off by virtue of what he said about Israel. Fine. There are people who may not agree with that, but nonetheless, they can't stand Zoran Mamdani. So you have different people who dislike him for different reasons, who are going to have to come together and work together to keep him and his ilk out. This is my dream. I want him to be politically crushed. I want folks to say, we have been the sleeping giant, the right wing. There's no radical right. I want everybody. I want Elon, because Elon and Trump love each other. It's a bromance. Come on, stop it. I want them to pick the phone up and say, all right, you ready for this? Yeah. We got to stop this guy. Okay. Again, all legally, not violent. No. Oh, God, no. Oh, we don't martyr anyone. No, you don't want to do it. I'm talking about theoretically, ideologically, philosophically. I want there to be a tsunami. I want there to be a zephyr. I want there to be a cyclone, a hurricane, a tornado, some tornadic. I want there to be this absolute, this flooding. I want every time you turn on your phone, whether it's TikTok or Instagram, you will see a mother who lost their child, a mother who lost their child to crime, a mother who is hugging and thanking an NYPD police officer for saving their life, for saving their child, and then say, this son of a, what's the people defunded? We cannot do this. I want everyone. I want women. Have a woman who has been beaten. Have a woman describe. My wife will tell you this. Women who will describe how they cannot have children. This is trafficking. And by the way, Diddy's going to walk, because what they've done is they have diluted trafficking and the whole notion of racketeering, in his case, to trivialize it. I want people to say, oh my God. And the bottom line is simply this. I want years ago, from now, people to look back and say, remember what they did to Zoran? Oh yeah. Be careful, because contrary to what people think, nobody wants this clown. Nobody. What people are saying who think they like him is the same way when you were a teenager and you were rebelling and you claimed to like some stupid things just because your parents said you can't do it. They're enjoying this kind of a political juvenescence. Do I make myself clear? Our number is 800-848-9222. I know this is complicated, but I think you're smart enough to handle it. My friends, this is the first... Oh, my God. What is this? What's this show turned into? I'm scared. All of a sudden, it's like yesterday they said, hey, the party's still going on. No. Not that there's anything wrong with it, my friend. I love this president so much. I really do, but I don't know who is telling him what to do. I have no idea what is happening. I have no earthly idea what is happening to him. I really don't. I don't know who's talking to him. I don't know who has his ear. I don't know. I don't. He's so good. He's so smart that he can't possibly not know what's happening. Do you know how many bad people there are in the world? And how many the bad people are on, quote, our side? Who's our friend? Whom do you trust? Anybody? Do you? Do you really trust any of these folks? Do you? Is there anybody out there that makes you... Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Sometimes I just can't take it. I thought to myself, I thought we learned. I thought after 9/11, after they pulled this weapons of mass destruction crap, I thought for sure we're not going to fall for this anymore. I knew it. I said, that's it. We finally wised up. Do you remember that? How can you not? They told us. Colin Powell sat there with a vial of Ajax or talc or whatever it was. He goes, this, we've got to do it. They knew the whole time. They knew it was a lie. Condoleezza Rice, everybody. The smoking gun could be a mushroom cloud. The smoking gun could be a mushroom cloud. Better to fight them there than here. They hate our freedom. Remember that? They hate our freedom. Now, all I know is for the past, 30 years, Iran, they're this close away. It's like, look, I think most of us could say, you know what, we need a new line, okay? We got to figure something out. This isn't working anymore. People aren't buying this. Nobody's buying this anymore. They must think we're just stupid. That doesn't mean that people aren't dangerous. That doesn't mean that we turn our back on somebody. Oh, no. Another thing, too, is this is the best part. When somebody says, well, do you know what somebody said? This is my favorite. You know, somebody said, this person said, death to America. So France did that too. Well, yeah, but whatever. So did Algeria. Yeah, but but we say death. Yeah, but I know. So we're gonna have a war because somebody said that? You want to go to war because somebody said something? Wait. You want to go to war, not because there's weapons of mass destruction, but because somebody said something? Because I hear this all the time. Well, they did say that. I want to grab people by the lapels and say, where the hell have you been? Good, I tell you what, here's a ticket. You go. You go. Take your kid, your son or daughter, and you go there. And you take care of it. And let me know how this thing goes. And you tell them, if I ever hear you saying that one more time, we're going to be back. They must think we're really stupid. I can't say that enough. They must think we're really stupid. I don't understand how any of this works. I'm going to tell you something. In the old days, they say unprecedented. I have never seen the day, and I'm going to say this, when Steve Bannon and Greta Thunberg agree, when Joy Reid and Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene agree, do I have to make this clearer? Do you know what's going on here? How do you think this calculus is going to work out in what scares me is midterms? Because when it comes to politics, this group has we had so much momentum. Everybody loved this man. Everybody from the Amish and the barbershop in the Bronx and my God, the gay. It was the most incredible thing in the world. After 4 years of this cretin who was this dotard, who basically had never, I don't think people that tell me say he was never in the White House. It was the most incredible thing anybody's ever seen. And then numbnuts, this logolalic word salad, by the way, it's called verbal incontinence. Remember when she was on a roll? And then we went through that and we said, we've got it. We've got it. We're so happy. And then all of a sudden, hey, we're going to release those Epstein files. Yes. Remember how excited you were? And the JFK files and the RFK files. And we're going to get to the vaccines. And we're going to, yes. Next thing you know, red dye number 3. Well, we don't have the files exactly. Well, poor Pam Bondi. Hey, I thought you released them. Why, I'm going to get, and it was like, what are you doing? We can still get our mojo back. But we got to pay attention. Got to pay attention. Hour number 2 coming up. You know, my friends, I've never fit in anywhere at any time, whatever it's worth, I remember at the old, when I say the old WABC, the ABC that I was with, my God, it was, 27 years ago, I guess? Everybody wanted to impeach Bill Clinton. And they got really upset with me. I said, Bill Clinton did not commit an impeachable offense. You know, get him out of office, but you want impeachment, you mean, you want conviction. You don't want to impeach him, you want to convict him, you want to get rid of him. And they were crazy. Don't you understand? He lied. He goes, that's not an impeachable offense. Lying, if you could get rid of a president because he lied? Whose lie? What lie? What are you talking? No. You're going to subvert the problem. Well, they didn't like me. Then one time, I'll never forget, I used to have an expression. I'll never forget this. I had an expression. It was kind of like, it was from my days of Second Amendment advocacy. Lock and load. People say lock and load, like Cowabunga or Megaditto's Rush or Baba Booey, it was a shibboleth. It was a way people would show. I had this numbnuts who came up one time, just a subtard of the worst order. It says, "Do you ever think to yourself that maybe you're advocating violence?" I said, "Violence? This is the same person who wanted me to. This is the moronic lunacy. I could not." I said, "You understand what you're talking?" No. So I realized right then and there that, and the whole notion of gun rights, but to me it's nothing. And then before the word libertarian came out, I didn't know. I always advocated the fact that gay people should be able to get married, because marriage is a civil sanction, not penalty, and that it has nothing to do with whatever your particular morality is. It's an agreement. It's like a corporation, an LLC. It's okay. That's that. They didn't like that either. Because there's no gray. There's no make America gray again. You know, there's certain things that sometimes they apply, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I don't know. It's hard to say. The whole thing came down to also regarding there are these people who believe that somehow you can actually pass a constitutional amendment to prohibit, to make illegal abortions. I said, that is insanity. That is political, that is suicide. What are you talking about? That's crazy. That's nuts. So then the pro-choice people would say, hey, good for you. But I'd say, but wait a minute. There is no constitutional right to have an abortion. What? There is no constitutional right either that protects homosexuality or sodomy or anything else for that matter. Now they don't know what to do. It's not that I'm inconsistent. It's that you're looking for a rule that people can apply. I explained something one day. I said, do you know what? There was a fellow, Noah Feldman. He is a Harvard law professor, and he's an expert on Sharia law. And I said, most people think people have this idea of what Sharia law is. I said, Sharia law is the same in many respects as the Catholics have regarding annulment. You ever had that one? People have suggested, for example, that whenever you annul a marriage in the Catholic Church, or somehow you've vitiated it, you've dissolved it. It never occurred, and all of the children are supposedly illegitimate. No. That's the religious part of it. The state part can be, of course, removed or expurgated or bowdlerized or whatever by virtue of divorce. But this is a different story. The two, they're side by side. There are certain instances where Jewish law might conflict with whatever. We don't teach people how to think. And the great F. Scott Fitzgerald said that the sign of a truly intelligent, the truly great mind is somebody who is able to appreciate or be able to handle two seemingly inconsistent ideas simultaneously and not lose their mind. And when you tell people this, they really don't understand. Not to mention people don't do any research. They don't look up anything. I don't understand. I don't know why that is. I don't know where this thing came from. And I wish the first thing I would do if I ever taught a class in school, I would say, I want you to give me a report. And I want you to be able to tell me today's topic is such and such. And each person is going to be something you're going to have to look up, something you've never looked at before, something you've never thought about, whatever it is. It might be a science topic. It might be a political topic. It might be a concept. It might be an economic. But you're going to have to figure this out. And I'm going to give it to you. And you're going to have to come up and explain this to the class, what this thing is. You don't have to be an expert. But I want to see how fast you can learn something really, really quick. Because believe it or not, one of the things which is the most important, especially if you ever get into this kind of biz, is to be able to be a quick reader and understand quickly what happened. Because sometimes things break, and you've got to be able to talk about them very, very quickly, very, very, and not in terms of reacting, but kind of explaining to people and then reacting. It's a very, very interesting thing. Now, another thing I want to do is I want to get rid of these old concepts about conservatives and liberals. I don't even know what that means either. Let me give you an example. This weekend, I guess, was one of the most horrible examples. One of the worst things I've ever seen. It was the Bezos-Lauren Sanchez wedding. When I tell you this, I swear on my eyes, okay? I should go, my friend Joe would say, I should go blind if I'm lying. I never saw one picture. If anything, that there might have been a picture of whatever it is. That was sheer, utter disgust. It disgusted me to the point of I couldn't even see straight. And then we also saw these incredible transformations of this Lauren Sanchez. I don't even know what this is. I don't know where we have lost our minds. It's almost like a form of transhumanism. How people they lose all of their human characteristics. And this Bezos, what an idiot, what a maroon this man is. It was vile. One of the reasons why divorce is so high in our country is that marriage means nothing because it is a party. It is a party. Let's have a party planner. Hey! Because when people talk about the wedding, the marriage, they think about the wedding. I don't think anybody really understands what it is. And examples like that absolutely show you just how incredibly horrid this is. Horrid. But don't expect people to apply any degree of depth to anything. Does that make any sense? Let's go to Pamela in New Jersey. Pamela, you're on the other side of midnight. Pamela, how are you, hon?
Good morning. I want to ask you a legal question. Can federal civil rights laws override a mayoral election if somebody
Absolutely.
is openly separating people by race and skin color and giving them benefits or punishment based on that? The
first rule is, and by the way, as a lawyer, I'll answer this. There's something that we refer to as the Supremacy Clause. And the Supremacy Clause, I don't know, this Article 5, whatever it is, that says basically whenever you have a federal statute and a state statute, federal statute, for the most part, will remain supreme. It will overrule the state. But tell me the particular context of which you speak.
Well, like you said, you were saying everybody's, having a nervous breakdown over this candidate who is openly stating that he's going to punish and benefit people by race and ethnic background and skin color.
Well,
and why can't we just have a federal statute? And I'm surprised this hasn't happened a long time ago, stating that a person like this cannot run.
Well,
period.
Again, one of the things is he will tell you, that's not what I said. That's the first thing. It's not what I said. But even if let's assume he said, I do not recognize the laws mandating integration. I do not believe in Brown against Board of Education. I will refuse to allow white and black students to, let's say he just says these crazy things. Now, it's kind of like the Iran thing. I'm going to keep him out of office because of what he plans to do. He hasn't done anything yet. He says he'd like to do this, or he will do this, or if he says, if I'm your mayor, I am not going, we are not going to enforce speeding in this city. Something that, whatever. How do I keep somebody off for promising to do something he hasn't done yet? I know that may sound like, well, what's a big deal? But that gets real dangerous. Because if somebody says, can you imagine everything that President Trump has said? And I love that man, but he has said some pretty stupid things along the way. He really has. And how many times have you said, well, that's Trump? You got to understand that. So that I don't understand. But see, Pamela, here's the thing. I want you to imagine he's Charlie McCarthy. He's Pinocchio. He's a puppet. Who is the person? Who are the people promoting him? Who are the people? The same people who devised Barack Obama out of nowhere. The same people. They're going to push him. You are going to see the next iteration of this is going to be somebody who is even more over the top because he at least he's very presentable. Great deportment. Did you see he was screamed at by a Palestinian supporter who just upbraided him for daring to even acknowledge the existence of Israel by saying whatever he said. And he sat there, didn't bat an eye. He's so cool and he smiles and he's dangerous because he's
testing the waters to see,
absolutely.
He's the prelogue to what's coming. And I understand he has to do it in order for somebody to put up a case.
But I want people to understand. I would love to see the following. I would love there to be an onslaught. I would like there to be, in my crazy mind here, a meeting of the highest order where we become the shadow government, when all of a sudden Elon meets with Silicon Valley with Peter Thiel, and all of a sudden every phone, every Instagram, every TikTok, every X, every Facebook is deluged, everything on TV with this onslaught. I will brainwash people. I will make everybody, they will be hit. He won't know what hit him. He won't be able, and he better have a clean past, real squeaky houndstooth clean. And we're going to go through everything he said. Just imagine a woman standing before you with an eye that's visibly, let's say was lost when she was beaten by a pimp. And this woman says, is this what you want, Mr. Mondani? What? You want to legalize the sex trade? I'm the sex trade. Look at me. This is attractive, isn't it? And then we go through everything he says. And then we talk about kids who have ruined their lives with puberty blockers. And then do you want this? I want him to turn to his people and say, where did this come from? And say it's a new world right now. It's new because the right, as you know, Pamela, they don't fight back. They don't do anything. The left protest. Remember that? Remember a while back, I don't want to say it, but it was called, it rhymes with wussy. They called it the wussy hat. Remember that pink thing that, I don't know what the hell this thing was, but they marched and they were all over. The women were marching and Madonna said she wanted to blow up the way. And you say, what is this? And then there was the No Kings marches. When was the last time you had a right-wing conservative march? Ever? Other than, something that the president put on for, military veterans. Nothing. Because Republicans don't do anything. And in the state of New York, it's pathetic. And the city of New York, non-existent. What's going on here? I was talking to somebody the other day. You're not going to believe this. A woman she cuts hair and she talks to everybody. Everybody she says there is not one person, the leftist of the left, the right, who can stand Mondani. Where is this groundswell of support? I submit to you, it's not there. But if you sit back and expect Jesse Waters or somebody to come up with some cute little quippy skit to carry your message, that ain't going to work. Somebody's got to grow a pair in this. I don't know what's the matter. Republicans talk a big game, but they don't do anything. They just complain. And they think that if I deluge you with sound bites, remember, nobody's going to be listening to me whose mind I want to change. Because the people who are listening to me probably agree with me anyway. I want to go to people who disagree with me. And how do you think I do that? By being aggressive, by being, dare I say, guerrilla-like. That's Guerilla. You got it? I hope so. More coming up. Oh, here's one for you. Good luck explaining this. Good luck with this. But I try anyway because I'm an idiot. And I think that people ultimately will grasp what I'm trying to say. Whenever the government does anything that violates the spirit, the tenor, the actual law, you, as an American citizen, should say something about it and do so, and react accordingly. Whether you like Diddy or not, everybody should hope for an acquittal, because that case has no business in federal court. Nothing. There is nothing about this case. 3 charges he's looking at. Violation of the Mann Act, the white slavery statute, taking women across state lines for purposes of prostitution. You've got to be kidding me. This is what they got Jack Johnson on. They had R. Kelly, I think Chuck Berry. These women they weren't paid prostitutes. Nothing. What was that about? Next, the idea of sex trafficking. Wasn't forced fraud or coercion. Did these women call the police? Nope. Could they have left? Yep. Were they held there against their will? Nope. Nope. And this isn't about don't victim shame. How many times did you see that Cassie video? And they talked about lube, baby oil. I don't understand this. It was a waste of time. And organized crime. There are people who are looking at, in essence, life in prison who were members of organized crime, at least ostensible organized crime. I mean, they're trying to compare Diddy with what? The Gambino crime family? Well, what? What? What are you talking about? But what happens is people got so wrapped up in the story, so wrapped up in the sordidness of it, so wrapped up in the fact that there was baby oil and there was this and there was celebrity, and they just went crazy over it. And all they had to do was make it real simple. One case, two predicate acts. In fact, they were dropping predicate acts, and there's no continuity. There's no continuity. And there's no agreement among the particular predicate acts. They were chaotic. They were episodic. They weren't. It was a dog. And the best thing ever to show you why he'll be found not guilty is when the defense said, we don't even call any witnesses. I'm not going to put on any defense. Why? Because you didn't do anything. You didn't say anything. You never proved anything. You never proved anything. Why? What am I going to put? What am I going to prove? What am I going to counter? Counter what? You never said anything. Now, I know people don't like him. I understand that. He's a kind of a jadrul, and believe me, I get all that. But there's something about folks who exceed, who take the law and they use it preferentially. Remember, this same DOJ, say what you want about Mayor Adams. I don't think he's at all qualified to be. Well, compared to everybody else, he's Rudy Giuliani. But aside from that, when he had that ridiculous charge against him for basically receiving upgrades, what they got it for racket. They were going to put him in prison for getting an upgrade. I don't know what. Anyway, when the DOJ announced they were going to drop charges, most of the time, virtually all the time, what they do is they will order, the trial court will say, fine, dismiss it. It's your case, dismiss it. But in this case, they actually didn't do it. They said no. They had to force the judge to drop after he hired or appointed kind of a special master to review the job he's supposed to be doing. I mean, I can't believe it. Look what they did to J6 protesters. I mean, it blows my mind. I don't know what world I'm living in. It's so clear to me. So that's why sometimes I kind of fashion my particular outlook, not necessarily to comport or jibe with my particular platform of reality, but to come as close to it as possible. Chris, in the Catskills, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Lionel, you're making a lot of sense tonight on...
You sound surprised.
And with the Diddy case, I'm thinking, you're a former prosecutor, and a lawyer. If Diddy had those male, quote-unquote, prostitutes, pornographic actors, quote-unquote, if he had them sign release waivers and his girlfriend that he was creating pornographic content for future distribution. But if he, obviously him kicking and beating his girlfriend up, if there's a charge in there for him getting arrested for that's obviously, that's problematic. He was guilty of beating his girl.
And they settled it. There were no state charges brought. He paid her, I don't know how many millions. Yeah, okay. They addressed that. It was wrong. No doubt about it. But you bring up a very good point. If everybody, there used to be this great idea called assignation. And assignation was this really strange kind of case. And when you ask people, what is assignation? Do you think most people could answer it? In fact, what is it? In fact, there were always these wonderful things called mopery. Mopery is a law I'm still not even sure about. But assignation is this idea that when you have a kind of like a secret meeting, but whenever you arrange, sexual congress between two people, the law doesn't apply. But what you're saying is very interesting. If you're saying, oh, no, I'm filming this, or, ladies and gentlemen, everybody here, sign this waiver. This is going to be part of my Diddy freak off filming. And I'm putting this together. And this is an excellent point. So be a part of this. This might show up on something. I don't know. Most people would say, fine, even better, even better. Then it becomes something else. But here's the best part, Chris. None of these women, as far as anybody knows, ever said, he held me against my will. I was handcuffed. I was in a basement. I tried to get away. He took my phone. They threatened to hurt me. Nothing. Diddy had security to keep the women away. How is this trafficking? I'm not saying it's not psychological coercion. I'm not saying that's not trafficking. That may be something else. Do you ever hear the stories about Hugh Hefner after the fact? How these women say it was terrible.
Yes.
When they were, by the way, did I do 30 after the hour? I don't think I did this. 30 after the hour. Actually, 33 on the other side of midnight.
One quick point, too, is that there's actually 2 states, California and New Hampshire, where there's case precedents in their state Supreme Courts that pornography is legal. And didn't all this take place in California, too?
Well,
so all he had to do was sign the release waivers.
First of all, there is no such thing as pornography. The issue is, well, you're right, though. I understand the term you're using. But the word that we're using is obscenity. And obscenity is not protected by the First Amendment. So this is not obscenity. And at this particular...
There's a standard according to not the neighborhood, but the jurisdictional standard.
Under the law, obscenity, which is still the law, it's just nobody prosecutes it anymore, is that the particular piece has to appeal to the prurient interest. It has to be of a sexual nature, number one. It has to lapse, L-A-P-S, literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. And when taken as a whole, it lacks these things. And it's a very subjective thing, which at this particular point, for all practical purposes, law enforcement has abandoned that. But what you're saying is very interesting. If this is nothing but that, what he did was, if he just taped this and said, I'm going to sell this in a private adult, either on Pornhub or whatever the heck it is, which is kind of sort of legal, provided there are no children involved, I think you'd have an easy defense there. But the thing is, Chris, if you understand the way the feds think, there used to be an expression years ago that said, they used to ask, when do the feds involve themselves in prosecuting drugs? And the old joke used to be, when you have to use a forklift to bring the drugs into the courtroom, because they actually sometimes one time there was a case in Florida where they had so much cocaine brought into the courtroom, people's eyes were watering. I mean, it was the craziest thing you've ever seen. So the idea that federal used to be big, inordinate, gargantuan, it was of tremendous interest. Do you know how many people? Let's go back. There are approximately 3,000, I say roughly, there's about 3,000 professional athletes in baseball, basketball, football. Roughly, I think, 2,500, 3,000 in the country. When they come into town, and they come into a hotel, and they come into part, they're on the road. Do you know how many women line up and want to be a part of it, who will do everything and anything to meet with and be with a professional athlete? Do you understand that? Now, what's the difference between that? Let me go back to this. Hugh Hefner. What did Hugh Hefner do? The same thing. Hugh Hefner had these parties, these wild orgies at the Grotto and the Playboy. What about that? What do you call that? So when for people to miss this point, this misses it. Okay. By the way, let me tell you this one. There's something called the New Callan Lord Center for Excellence in Sexual Health. There's a free clinic for people involved with sex trades living in New York City, put on by Callan Lord Community Health Center. The 20,000 square foot Hell's Kitchen facility would include check-in kiosks, self-swab stations, exam rooms, and on-site equipment capable of delivering rapid STI results for over 15 patients at a time per machine. This high-volume, tech-enabled model is designed for efficiency, confidentiality, and inclusivity. You can look at, here we go, look at the New York Post. Zoran Mamdani wants to spend $65 million on trans medical treatment, including for minors. Did you hear this one? And by the way, this isn't his idea. That's right. Zoran Mamdani wants to. I always slow his name down. It makes it sound like it's this man, Zoran Mamdani, wants to spend $65 million. I know you guys are elated about this, but that's a different story. Still reveling after that birthday. And I also have a picture of your cake, by the way, that sad cake with the carrot that's cut in half. He wants to spend $65 million in taxpayer funds on transgender treatment, including for minors, if he's elected. This is about $57 million will be allotted for public hospitals, community clinics, federally qualified health centers, and nonprofits, with another $8 million for more expanded services. That's that. That's Zoran Mamdani. How about this one? Caesar's Palace pledges $5 million investment in the community health center if Times Square Casino is approved. That's right, my friends. The group pitching a Times Square casino will donate $5 million to LGBTQ plus sexual health clinic if the state approves their casino license application. This is according to AM New York. Caesar's Palace Times Square, a joint bid between entertainment companies SL Green, Caesars Entertainment, and Rock Nation, would bring a casino and entertainment complex to the center of Times Square. However, it has faced pushback from community members and state officials. In a move to entice state officials to approve the project, Caesars Palace will grant the Callan Lord Community Health Center and LGBTQ plus. After LGBTQ plus, what else is there? Seriously, LGBTQIA, MOUSE, RIGGMOB. Anyway, $2 million to support existing projects and $3 million to build a new center for excellence in sexual health. Excellence in sexual health. Not sexual health, but excellence. You hear what's going on here? Do you hear what this is where we are right now. Do you like that? Hey, Kathy Hochul. Hey, everybody. Do you like this? Is this what you want? Do you think this is something that we need? Kiosks for your quick STI. You could be like zapped like cattle going in. Is this what you want? If I wanted to destroy a country, or a people, the thing I would do is I would go after their culture, their heritage, their tradition, their values, their religion. I would do everything in my power to destroy everything. And I would make everything you can imagine. I would make it absolutely, positively the most incredibly horrific in terms of this. Now, if you think that's a great idea, that's terrific. I don't. I also believe that, and I used to years ago, this is the closest I've ever come to really changing my mind about something. Because I'm kind of teetering a little bit towards or regarding the death penalty to an extent, but because I'm against it for reasons that have nothing to do with the morality of it. But I used to think, like a lot of people, under this thing called I guess you would call it this libertarian thing. Remember, libertarians are Republicans of what is spoke of, right? And I had this idea that women, people, sex, far be it from the state. Who is the state to? Okay. This is the biggest joke in the world. There is something which I support called the equality model. It was also, I think it was a Danish model. But basically it says that I believe in the legalization of quote, this, or the decriminalization for the sex worker, but not for Johns and not for pimps. Because what they want to do is they want to have it legal so that there is no more criminal sanctions. Now, let me explain something to you. Let's imagine your town, your city, your neighborhood on a weekend. And lo and behold, guess what? There's a place down the hall, or down the street, that's a kind of a Airbnb brothel. They pop out of nowhere. How would you stop it? What would you say? It's not illegal. You might argue a zoning thing. If you were to see women who would be held there by some kind of a swarthy looking dude, what would you do? You could say, "Hey, are you being held against your will?" No. Well, I think you are. Who's this guy? Is this your pimp? Excuse me. There are no such thing as pimps anymore. Why? Because you legalized it. You took whatever the protections are away from it. And I know it sounds very enticing. I know it sounds like, at least theoretically, that people should be able to contract, but they don't contract. Because there is not any woman who was able to show up or who was able to involve themselves in this particular type of behavior without a pimp or others coming in to try to exact some type of control over them. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. 800-848-9222. That's where we are. Also, the Diddy trial. Excuse me as I cough away. I've had the most fun screaming and yelling that what he did should not be a federal crime. And again, people think I'm somehow, condoning what he did when I in fact didn't. 800-848-9222. That's our number. I want to hear from you. And Mr. Blaze, can we do one of these things right now? Terrific. Let's do this. And we will return after this incredible message from our incredible, well, you know how that goes. And in the latest example of gotcha, I like when somebody claims to be something they're not. As you know, AOC claims to be a Bronx girl. And this people I know remember her as, I think she was the hostess at the Union Square Cafe or something. She went by the name Sandy. And I think her future is pretty, it's hard to say exactly where she goes next. Remember, the squad was Elon Omar. Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, and AOC. And the squad kind of went, well, they kind of went away. And then there was Jasmine Crockett. And Jasmine Crockett kind of moved up. And nobody. Then, which is interesting, believe it or not, at one particular point, there was a woman that you may recall, Fannie Willis. Nothing happened to her. I don't know what really could be, but this is a woman who was the Fulton County DA who brought these ridiculous racketeering charges against the president. Nothing ever happened with that. Remember that? They just kind of dropped and were held in abeyance. She kind of went aside with her Wade, what was her name? Whatever his name is, Wade. Anyway, so that was that. Then there's a woman named Tiffany Henyard. Please go back. Please. Tiffany Henyard was the mayor of Dalton, Dolton, Illinois, who was a woman who was so incomprehensible she made Diddy sound like John Kenneth Galbraith. She was under FBI scrutiny, FBI attack, FBI investigation for years. Nothing happened. Nothing. So I don't understand why people don't ever follow through. Any event. So AOC spoke out, apparently, on her suburban high school yearbook picture, because this is a big, big deal, because she still maintains her Bronx girl background, despite her Westchester upbringing. Quote, this is what she said: "I'm proud of how I grew up and talk about it all the time. My mom cleaned houses and I helped. We cleaned tutors' homes in exchange for SAT prep. Growing up between the Bronx and Yorktown deeply shaped my views of inequality, and it's a big reason I believe the things I do today." So she went from being a Bronx girl to, I grew up between the Bronx and Yorktown. But the Democratic Congresswoman's Bronx girl claims have repeatedly come under fire, with folks in the North Westchester community remembering her as Sandy Cortez from Yorktown Heights. According to Matt Slater, a Republican from Yorktown, he said, quote, "She's embarrassing herself for doing everything possible to avoid saying she grew up in the suburbs instead of the Bronx. She said she visited extended family. She has said she commuted. Now she's in between. It's clearly desperate attempts to protect the lie that she is from the Bronx." Ocasio-Cortez, who represents part of the Bronx and Queens, traded online barbs with President Trump last week after she called for his impeachment. Now, what would I like to do? In my perfect world, I would have this absolute flood of information. And what happens is people love when there's a lie. Do you remember? Oh, God. It'll come to me. The woman who claimed to be black, but she's not. It'll come to me. And this is a woman who said, "I'm black." She was head of the NAACP. And it finally was proof she's not black. I'll think of her name. And it was the biggest, because people hate lying. This is what I would do. I would have this onslaught, this attack, this deluge, this tsunami, so that she wouldn't be able to answer it. She wouldn't know what to do. Because in this country, let me tell you how this works. Once the momentum starts, once the reverberations start, once everything starts going crazy, and once there's this wild drumbeat for your removal, that's it. It doesn't matter what you did. And she's a phony. The same thing goes with this guy, Mamdani. And that's the part which I find to be. And you know what? She sort of, if she were smarter, oh my God, she would be so dangerous, absolutely dangerous beyond anything you've ever seen. Here's another story I wanted to tell you about, which I love. Not that it matters, but because there's a part of me, see, I kind of I like trash stuff. Remember when the National Enquirer was really good? Then People magazine came along. Well, Charlize Theron was apparently less than impressed by Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's star-studded $50 million nuptials. It is the biggest assemblage over the weekend of every loser you can imagine. Oprah, Gayle King, I guess living in the 80s. So the old guard star apparently ripped into I'm reading from the Post, the Amazon mogul and his new wife while hosting the 5th annual block party for the Charlize Theron Africa Outreach Project. Quote, "I think we might be the only people who did not get an invite to the Bezos wedding. But that's okay because they suck and we're cool. Whenever you get the chance to see a transition from one iteration of entertainment to another, it's one of the greatest things ever. You're seeing the end of what used to be this thing called whoever. Oprah Winfrey hasn't done anything since what? What? Remember O magazine when they would kind of like affect her, they would shape her look. Then she went on apparently the Ozempic or the Wegovy, allegedly. And now she's, by the way, be careful with that. Be careful. Be careful. I'm no expert, but watch for that, pancreatitis and all kind of, be careful. See, there's one thing about nature which I've learned. And I learned this from the chiffon margarine commercial in the 70s. It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. In any event, so she was a big deal then. Her show was so important, so critical. She was, shape-shifting. And then, all of a sudden, he said, she's a billionaire. And people said, why? I don't know. Well, what did she do? Well, she had, we know about her show. Well, she had O and Harpo Productions. Okay. Did that sell? No. Well, why is she a billionaire? Well, she just is. Are you sure about that? I guess. Same thing with the Kardashians. They're supposedly billionaires. How do we know that? I don't know. That's what they say. Well, she is like a star that burned out generations, hundreds, thousands, I should say millions of years ago. But the light still hits us. We are in the middle of a transition. I want you to look at every person at that stupid wedding and remember it. This is a museum. And just stamp has been. It's a very important event right now. Don't dismiss this. These were has-beens. Absolute nothings in the last gasp of importance. There is a transition going by. I told you about this. In the landlines are coming back. There's a movie. It's a magazine called, I think, The Envelope or something. Kids are loving more Matt Dillon, Gunsmoke. More people watch The Sopranos today than they did when it came on. Not because it's available, but young people are saying, was this really on TV? Yes. Could you say this? Yes. It was violent. It was racist. It was sexual. They love the realness. Another thing, too, kids are loving. Friends. That stupid show Friends with this apartment that could never exist in the real world. Friends. Listen to what I'm telling you. Don't let the Mamdanis and the Bezoses and others fool you. There is a desire and a real passion for kids wanting to get back to the real thing. Don't ever let people fool you. Over and over, people are saying, we want to know what friendships are. We want to know about dating. We're tired of this. There's something to be said. They want you to believe that the whole world now is turned into Tinder and hooking up and plastic. No, there is a desire for people to actually extend and go back to real relationships. That's what we've got to fight. Because let me tell you something. This is not about just some guy running for office. This is about something bigger. This is about the very, I can't believe I'm saying this. I sound like people I used to laugh at. But this is a fight for our soul. This is a fight for who we are. I know that sounds crazy, but it's not. It's the God's honest truth. And you're going to see a pushback, because I've always said this, that the pendulum is going to swing back like a wrecking ball. And everything that we're seeing right now is going to be destroyed. So the third, was it the third? Yes, the third hour coming up. Our number 800-848-9222. We'll be talking about this, a little bit of Diddy, a little bit about what's going on, and whatever is on your mind, my dear friends, as we start the week on the other side of midnight. A rather catchy and pithy title, if you ask me. My friends, Lionel with you on the other side of midnight, and I recognize that what I say to you is a complete and total waste of time. Because it's kind of nuanced, but I will say this, and I'm going to say this only because I'm going to just say this. I have had, for some particular reason, on my left hand, apparently some type of a nail that is, I don't know, ingrown. The pain, unrelenting for 3 days, is out of this world. A little stupid thing like that. I'm not going to be sidelined, but it is incredible how something as simple as that can be like, wow. Just something that simple. In any event, I just thought I'd share that with you. Kathy Hochul. Another jadrul. I don't know where this, I don't know how this came from. Listen to this. Governor Kathy Hochul's administration is going to bat. This is from the New York Post. By the way, the New York Post has become absolute. I mean, it's like news and trash at the same time. Entertaining, to be sure, but let me give you an example. Governor Kathy Hochul's administration is going to bat for the world's oldest profession. Stop. Do you see how they euphemize it? This euphemism? The world's oldest profession. Oh, that's right. Oh, they're, like maybe like Miss Kitty on, because she was a madam. Most people don't think about that. By launching a free health care program for sex workers, not veterans, not retired law enforcement, not teachers. No, sex workers. And what do you need to do to become a sex worker? This is a move, of course, that critics are slamming as encouraging a campaign to decriminalize prostitution. Gee, you think? The state health department has awarded $1 million in public funds combined over 2 years to 2 contractors as part of the new sex worker health pilot program. Under the initiative, sex workers in New York City and Western New York will be provided with primary sexual and behavioral health care, as well as dental care. Dental care. How many times have you ever had to have, you think you've got some dental care? Well, I got my dental program. And then you go and you say, hey, I need something. And it's always, well, that's not covered. Your dental care is two cleanings every 5 years or some ridiculous thing. You say, yeah, but I need a crown. Well, that's not covered. Well, what the hell is this? Well, it's not covered. But if you're a sex worker, not only do you get this, supposedly, but behavioral care. But some, of course, have criticized. By the way, some criticized the Hochul administration over the taxpayer-funded program, which is launching without approval of the state legislature, saying it encourages vice. The Democrats in New York are pushing everything that is antithetical to the norms of society. What are they going to have? A prostitution card? This is the most, this is where now, I sound like I'm so, I sound like I'm one of these, I don't know what. I've got no problem with the notion of sex or sexual whatever, but we are seeing a depravity. And by the way, let me just go back a little bit. This is the New York Post, okay? At the top of this story, when you read this, professional girlfriend makes $1,000 per date but refuses money for this specific reason. I don't even know what it is. OnlyFans. Here we go. OnlyFans model Kayla Jade warns against Turkey cosmetic surgery trend. This is a Brazilian butt lift in Turkey. A Brazilian butt lift. A BBL in Turkey. Sounds like a sandwich at the Carnegie Deli. BBL, a pistol up with. OnlyFans star Annie Knight reveals her staggering monthly salary after having sex with 500 men in one day. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Now, I understand the Post and others have to do the best they can, but is this? What happened to us? First of all, I don't believe any of this stuff. Sex with 500 men? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I want to, this may sound too much. I want to see a picture of that. Not of the act. I want to see what you look like. Okay? This is ridiculous. Kids today, young girls are taught from the time they can open their eyes that this is what you're famous. This is how. Forget being some form of influencer. Unboxing a curling iron. No, be a botaneda. Sell yourself. This is it. Be debauched. I don't even know. Is anybody doing anything about it? Not really. Not really. Now, I want you to listen to this one. This is another example. Marsha Blackburn, Ted Cruz, sellouts. Absolute on so many levels. I don't know who the good guys are anymore. Marsha Blackburn caved and struck a deal with Senator Cruz regarding a new moratorium for AI. There was an AI moratorium in the budget reconciliation bill under the BBB. The new text lasts for 5 years instead of 10 and has new exceptions meant to protect certain groups that actually leaves them more vulnerable. I told you this before, and I'm going to say it again. But I know I'm wasting my time because it's kind of a not a dry subject, but a subject that kind of doesn't grab your attention. AI, artificial intelligence. It's just going to be. It's like they've let loose this new breed of mosquito or something, and it's out of control. While this revised language adds child safety and other, quote, generally applicable laws to the list of supposed exemptions, it now requires states to prove that these laws do not pose an undue or disproportionate burden on AI systems. So you have to prove. This goes back to the old days. This is similar to when people would advance an insanity defense. Do you have to prove that your client, the defendant, was laboring under a McNaughton rule type of insanity, or must the prosecution disprove that they labored under a McNaughton rule kind of insanity? This standard they're applying will provide big tech with a clear path to challenge nearly any kids' safety law in court, including in-progress lawsuits. This will lead to countless laws across the country becoming entangled in litigation. The big tech control, forget everything else. Forget the lobby. You talk about lobbies, people say, well, is there an Israeli lobby, AIPAC? The thing that makes AIPAC look like the Chamber of Commerce, which is a pretty big lobby, is big tech and AI. AI is bigger than anything you can imagine. And it is something that people cannot understand, they can't conceive of, and they can't grasp. They can't get their heads around it. It is going to pose an absolute threat to all of us. I don't know how, I can't imagine raising a kid today. Recently, we have a friend of the family who just announced, hey, we're going to have a baby. Oh, it's wonderful. And the first thing I thought, I looked at my wife, I said, oh, God, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I'm curious to you about what you have felt, you as a teacher, as a nurse, as a first responder, as a policeman, or policewoman, or police person, or as a parent. What have you felt regarding this? Do you feel, and I've never said this in my life. I've always thought, you keep talking about debauchery and Sodom and Gomorrah. You're overreacting. Come on. People have always said that there was this, from the days of Sinatra and the Bobby Soxers to Elvis, that there was always this, this lewdness. This is off the charts. Did you go to X, which we used to call Twitter? Did you see the stuff that was going on in the streets in front of people? Do you remember now, remember something. As a kid, will a child who sees this ever be able to come back from this? who sees this and is exposed to this, are they ever going to be able to somehow regroup and consolidate under some platform of normalcy? This is so evil. This is what you would call satanic. This is eyes wide shut stuff. This is bigger than anything. It is so, I mean, it took this. You are seeing something that took millennia to get to. No matter how, forget Caligula, forget whatever. You are seeing it now, and you're seeing members of your government actually support this. Our number is 800-848-9222. I want to hear from you. I want you to be a part of my team. What should we do? What are your thoughts? How depraved is this? What are you seeing? And I'd love to hear from people who are teachers, who are people who work in healthcare. What happens if this is not stopped? And what should the Republicans or whoever the hell is responsible? I don't even know who's against this. I don't know where the Republicans are. I don't know what they do. I know they complain a lot. What do they do? We need to hear from you. Let this serve as a beacon of sensibility and rational thought. We need your voice, good patriot. We need your voice to come through loud and clear on the Lionel Show on the other side of midnight. The sick society we live in. Pete on Staten Island. Pete, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel. Talk to me, you son of a gun.
Hey, Lionel, how you doing? I got a
Good.
36-year-old daughter that they're married 9 years and having children. So my daughter says to me, Dad, I don't know about having kids today. I go, I don't know either, Nicole. It's tough, you know. So right now, it ended up she had a cat she saw get run over, and it had 6 kittens, but they were like 2 or 3 months old. So she's been taking care of them and feeding them with a bottle and everything. She says, boy, Dad, now I'm getting to see what being a mother is like. I go, well, it's a beautiful thing, but, you know, there's a lot of responsibility. I waited 8 years before I had my daughter because my wife was Jewish, I was Catholic. But we can't go by that because I wasn't much of a Catholic. I was, you know, from maybe until I was about 12, altar boy, then later a chief squire, a knight of Columbus. But I wasn't so devout. So I accepted my wife's religion. I welcomed it. And I tell you, I enjoy it. I'm treated very well at the synagogue, respectful and everything. I actually, when I had a little extra money, I had the synagogue. I paid to repair it. A couple of my friends painted. You know, they
Beautiful.
had a catering hall. Yeah, and, you know, and I feel very close.
Now, how
to
old
that.
is your daughter
And
right now, you
respect
say?
my wife.
How old is your daughter?
My daughter's 36 years old.
Is she
now.
married?
And she's married. She worked for Children's Service for
She has
7
no
years.
kids. She has no kids, right?
No kids, and she works at Willowbrook. She takes care of the children that were there that Geraldo rescued.
Yeah.
And she works with Geraldo to make sure they have all their benefits and all their health
Well,
care.
I think at 36, do you think maybe we're hitting that? I don't want to say it, but you think maybe it might be at this point to say, you know what, maybe that ship has sailed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that's it. I say adopt, give a child a second chance, you know?
Right, and there's
That's
no,
more
exactly,
important
there's
than
no
anything.
pressure. Listen, Pete, I thank you, my friend, and I love your story. Edgar in the Bronx. Edgar, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yes, hi Lionel. How are you?
Good, sir.
Yeah, the reason I'm calling is
Why are you calling? Why?
Okay, just to make a comment, I
Yes.
guess, and or just throw my two cents
Good,
into the
please.
pot. Yeah. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
controversial is the situation facing New York City by having this individual, Mandani, who could become the mayor of New York City, you know, if everything falls according to what he would like to have happen. But my position, my question is this: I hope that, I've been hearing at least is, how awful it's going to be out there. I hope that there are people actually thinking about this and planning how they're going to counteract.
How about before it gets to the point of counteracting it? I mean, how about what happens? I want people to understand that what happens to our police, because no matter how nice and he smiles and he was like a nice guy, he says things with such, he is so polished and there's such a panache to him. It's scary. You know, yesterday, this Pride Parade, it's really become eyes wide shut madness. Not about gay rights. You know, if you remember this, what had started as a movement, at least ostensibly for equal rights, I guess over time has morphed into this public spectacle of unhinged, incalculable debauchery. And I use that term, debauchery. That is exactly what we're talking about. Debauchery. This is excessive indulgence in sensual concupiscence. There's a good word for you. The pride but business isn't about civil liberties. It's not about legal recognition. No. It's about pushing boundaries, flaunting, embracing degeneracy, mocking decency under this, I guess you'd call it a banner of progress. Now, you tell me why. Drag queens gyrating, twerking in thongs. Huh? Tell me what that means. Tell me. Kink displays, on floats. Simulated sex acts. What's with the leather gear? Maybe I can understand a lot of things. Explain the leather. Lycra. Polyester. What's with the leather? I mean, seriously. It reminds me of Vito on Sopranos. Remember he was doing the thing with the leather and say, hey, yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. What is this? Exposed genitalia in front of kids. This isn't Stonewall. This isn't Harvey Milk. This isn't Dignity. This is Eyes Wide Shut on Fifth Avenue. And the media cheer, as though it's some kind of bravery. We have gone from what appears to be, I guess, an acceptance or a celebration of rights into ritual. This isn't about love, or it's about power. It's about forcing society to accept whatever the hell performance of sexuality this newly appointed activist class dreams up, no matter how explicit, no matter how sick, no matter who depraved, and say it. If you object, you're labeled a bigot. If you dare say maybe kids shouldn't see this, you're accused of hate. And I'm telling you right now, this isn't tolerance. It's cultural domination through spectacle, through this idea of this exclusion. This is social programming, and it's so obvious. And where are the politicians? Marching front and center. Right there, masked in virtue. They endorse this psychosis, I guess, for votes. Does Tish James really, honestly, seriously, if I pulled her aside and said, hey, Tish, listen to me. Not the commissioner, but the Letitia James. Hey, listen, Mondani, come here. Let me close the door. Do you really? Is this really? Do you think folks in your Muslim community, do you think this is what? Do I have to remind you? Are you telling me you embrace this? This isn't gay rights. Gay Americans have rights. This is an annual carnival of moral collapse, and it's funded, and it's endorsed, and it's ratified, and it's sanitized by the very institutions that once upheld these things called boundaries. This isn't freedom. This isn't, you're kind of rebrandishing, or you're rebranding, I guess, vice as virtue. I can't believe I'm saying this. I can't believe I'm saying this. I can't believe I'm in the position of actually saying now what I used to hear years ago. What next? And remember something. Little by little, bit by bit, you become acclimated. You become habituated. You become used to. You become conditioned. And it doesn't seem so scary anymore. And it doesn't seem like, well, it's okay. Systematic approximation. That's the operant conditioning. That's the Skinnerian way of dealing with phobias, as I told you, little by little, bit by bit. And next year it's more so, and more, and more. And I don't understand. I don't understand. And this is the part. If there was a celebration of, quote, heterosexuality, think about this, and all you saw was naked women simulating sex with naked men and twerking with men and women versus people of the same sex, what would heterosexuals say? Would they say, wait a minute, versus most people? They would say, wait a minute, this is it? They say, no, this is 30 past the hour on the other side of midnight with Lionel. That's what they'd say. But where are the rational gay people to say, is this it? When I think of gay, is there anybody out there who said the following, these are members, these are veterans who are gay? These are, and what Commissioner Tisch said was great. You don't even have people who are in law enforcement. These are doctors and teachers and moms and dads, and these are folks who are rational and good and upstanding and proud. No. Do you mean to tell me out of the entire schematic of this, the only thing you can come up with is twerking or whatever the hell it is that you're talking about? Nobody's even upset by this. Nobody's even remotely, So what next? What goes next? Let me tell you what the next thing is going to be. They are going to eliminate any limitation in terms of age regarding the age of consent. Mark my words. Okay? There used to be this group that people talked about. I don't know if it's around anymore, but it was this perfect thing for talk radio. It's called NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association. I didn't know if it was even real. Some said it was a P.O. box. But it was the idea that they wanted to literally destroy, to eliminate any particular restriction on sexual congress, as they say, between boys and men. There was no age of consent. None. Anything goes. Either lowering it or just removing it altogether. That's exactly what they want. They want New York to be the future, the hub of sex tourism. They're not going to be satisfied with just a little health center in Times Square. So here's what I'm saying. Where are the powerful? They know, they have intel. They know where this is going. They know the spies. They know the 5, 10, 25-year plan. They know what's happening. This doesn't surprise anybody. Now, let me ask you something. If you know what's coming, and I know what's coming, and they know what's coming, but they elect not to do something, I'm starting to think that maybe some of these folks kind of want this in a very strange way. I know that may sound strange to you, but do you know what would happen if I would make people all of a sudden aware of what was happening? Do you know the only thing that people are talking about right now is apparently this collective cacophony against and regarding this fellow, this whatever this dude is. And he has done more to invigorate people. And so far, I'm saying, what's being done? Now, I'm not going to go through the particular folks running, but what is the difference between, let's say, I know our Curtis Sliwa is certainly the Republican. I think he's pretty solid in terms of that. But what's the difference between, let's say, Eric Adams and Cuomo and Mamdani? What's really the difference? Tell me. What's really the difference? I don't know. What are people saying? This is very, very complicated because let me tell you, this is not a joke. Don't think this is some kind of a joke. Don't think this is some kind of some intermittent little thing that's just it'll go away. It's not going away. What next? They're going after your kids. And they're also going to go after your kids through AI. You have no earthly idea. I'm telling you. Let's go back to the phones, back to what I call fun. David in Pennsylvania You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Lionel. Happy day, happy week. Have a good week. Hey, you're right up to a point about the gay and all that, the gays. But I don't think they're going to have an end to the age of consent. That would be so unmoralistic and
are you not paying attention?
Dangerous, damaging to the kids.
That's what I'm saying. Are you not paying attention? Seriously, do you think, let me get this straight. You're saying that this won't happen because it would be injurious to the kids, right?
It would be very injurious to a lot of kids. That's what I'm saying.
That's where we are headed.
No.
Yes.
No. You're talking child human sex trafficking and stuff like.
Yes.
We already have that to a degree. Okay. Well, all right.
There is a movement in this country to eliminate altogether any type of age hurdles and to extend the sex trade industry to everyone. Now, you may say...
Has there ever been another society that experimented with something that sick?
Yes. I mean, do you want to know about different cultures? Sex tourism?
Sex tourism.
You know what sex tourism is? You've heard of Thailand, theoretically, and others. Sex tourism.
You go from hotel to hotel, go to a city on vacation, go from the hotel, I'm guessing, go from hotel to hotel having sex with all age people. Is that what it is?
David, does this confound you somehow? I'm just curious.
I am not a sexual person. I don't really even like sex. I don't want too much to do with sex.
Alrighty. You do know that this has nothing to do with your own particular manifestation, your own particular inclination. That's like me talking about drug abuse and saying, well, I don't use drugs, so therefore what? I don't have an opinion about, well, I don't, most of the time, well, let's talk about abortion. Well, I don't really I can't get pregnant, so therefore I don't have an opinion on abortion. This is something which I don't understand. There is a dark, coordinated movement that is everywhere, bubbling under the surface, that wants to erase age barriers and take whatever moral lines, blur them all together, and legitimize the sex trade business as empowerment. They want it to be considered a form of employment with let's say union representation, health care, and the like. And this isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a disturbing, scary, real cultural trajectory, and it's hiding in plain sight. And they hide it, and it's cloaked in terms such as, decriminalization or inclusivity or sex worker rights. Let me tell you something. When you talk about decriminalization, these folks, these activists, these guys and gals are pushing not for adult sex work rights, but for the dismantling of all restrictions, including laws that were meant to protect minors from exploitation. There is, you would be surprised how many states have consent laws that are sometimes 16, even lower. Words like consensual youth sex work. By the way, there is no such thing as child prostitution because a child cannot consent. But they're starting to creep into academic papers, policy discussions, activist talking points. There's grooming language. It's sanitized, with legalese. This is not just some dark recesses. This is going on. There are radical organizations openly ready to fight to remove parental consent laws. Remember what I'm saying. Parental consent laws lower the age of sexual autonomy, shut down efforts to, crack down or to stop trafficking. Oh, this is huge. Remember, whenever I take away your ability to control your child's safety and welfare and direction, I am going after parental primacy and parental responsibility and parental autonomy. And that's step one to doing this. Listen to what I'm saying. Oscar in New Jersey, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yeah, good morning, Lionel. Listen, I mean, I don't understand this pride parade, the idea of pride. Now, normally when you celebrate something, it's for some kind of an achievement. You know, the 4th of July, we celebrate independence from England. Columbus Day, celebrating the discovery of the New World. Easter parade, we celebrate, you know, the man walked on water and raised the dead. What are pride gay parades celebrating?
When someone says, for example, there's this thing called Black Pride, Italian Pride, American Pride, what's the difference?
Well, plenty of it. I mean, you know, Italians and celebrate Pride on Columbus Day. There's an anchor there. You know, St. Patrick's Day. They celebrate the fact that St. Patrick presumably chased the snakes.
No, I know, but you're having a. But I'm saying maybe the word pride might be too inclusive of things that it's hard to say why you would be proud because of your sexuality. That's like, but you could be proud of what. Because there was a time in this country, proud of what people overcame, what they had to overcome. And I understand that. That word, I think, has been used. It's been so diluted. It means nothing.
Yeah, you know, it kind of reminds me of those, those races, those competitions they have today in school, you know, in junior high, high school, where everybody gets a gold medal.
Yeah.
Irrespective. So to me, the idea of being proud, I mean, you could just as well have people like me with black hair and brown eyes having our own pride because we have overcome whatever we come up with. To me, it seems so...
But there was a time, though, Oscar, when prior to Stonewall, when gay people were treated absolutely horribly. I mean, it was inhumane for doing nothing but just... maybe dancing together innocently. People could be thrown in prison. So
okay, but let's be specific. They were treated horribly by a handful of cops. The rest of society
there were
didn't care.
laws. No. There were laws on the books. Legislatures passed laws. If they found you, if you dressed, quote, if you dressed or were wearing women's clothing, whatever that means. Oh, no.
Okay.
It wasn't just a handful of cops. These were laws on the books. It was horrible. And it goes back.
I know the same kind of laws, you know, against spitting on subway platform. Nobody enforced it.
They did. Yes, they did. The Stonewall riots in particular was in retaliation towards people or towards these ridiculous laws being enforced. No, Oscar, with all due respect, I think you're kind of just recreating history. It happened. Now, but the point...
I'm sorry, Lionel. Liberals recreate history.
No. Wait a minute. You're trying to go back. You're trying to go back and say this never happened. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is say whatever happened in the past is one thing. What is happening now has nothing to do with that. That's all.
No, what I'm saying is that your life's narrative, my life's narrative, have plenty to complain about. So these folks, they think that their oppression is greater than your oppression.
No. Listen. The same thing could be said for women. All right, women, that was then, but women have nothing to complain about. The people, when the Irish say that there were laws that said Irish need not apply, well, that was then. You're making a big deal out of it. Look, you don't have to go back and recreate. You don't have to recreate or rewrite history just to say that what's going on right now is an excess. A lot of folks, though, who sit back, who've never been through this, never saw this, never knew this, never appreciated this, never recognized this for a moment. It's easy for us sometimes to say, you're making this up. You never went through anything. That's a different story. I'm not going to argue that. What we're seeing right now is a different story. But more importantly, what I want you to understand something, and this is important, their goal is not, they've they've enjoyed, put it this way, there is no uncharted territory regarding any kind of gay rights. It's children next. Radical organizations openly fight to remove, again, parental consent laws. In some cities, we're seeing nonprofits and officials actively collaborating with, quote, harm reduction groups. I love that. That refuse to distinguish between victims of trafficking and workers who are minors. And then there's this walking while trans. You're seeing an obfuscation, a confusion of this. Do not dismiss this. It's not about protecting women. It's not about liberation. It's about dismantling, and I'm going to say this, moral boundaries altogether. You know, this idea of that, let the market rule, no matter age, no matter who cares about vulnerability or consequence. The goal is to turn innocence into a commodity. And they want to have this sanctioned by the state, ignored per usual by the media, and enforced by, I don't know, shame or cancellation. If we don't speak up, listen to what I'm saying. If we don't do something right now and legislate seriously, firmly, if we draw this very, very kind of like this red line, this classic red line we always talk about, we're in a fast track to a society where children are workers. And let me also tell you something. You're going to see this. You're going to see this. But that has nothing to do with being gay. We're not saying that a lot of these folks who were maybe dancing or whatever, or celebrating in public, are necessarily a part of this, but it's part of the same trajectory that is being utilized and being directed by folks in charge of where this is heading. They are basically charting the course for this. Don't think this is an exaggeration. Abby in Manhattan, you're next.
Hey. God, I love the way you use words.
Well, good.
You're a wordsmith, and forgive my immodesty. I happen to be one too.
Well, good.
And that's even my last name, Smith, which I shouldn't say because who knows who'll come after me now. But
put it this way: if your last name is Smith, you're almost guaranteed anonymity by virtue of the
I hear you. The plentitude.
Yes, indeed. Anyway.
So I wanted to address the issue of pride. You opened the envelope to, and you're opining on, what is, or I don't know if it was you or your caller who was saying, what's real to be proud of. And I would offer the possibility that, in the gay context, the pride comes in because, take, for example, someone who grew up maybe even in Manhattan, God forbid, in an environment where everybody dissed him for being gay. And yet maybe he found, the high school that embraced gay kids and didn't make them want to kill themselves. And so the pride comes in where they could identify, yes, I am a gay individual.
Listen, and I have Abby, let's stop for a second. I have absolutely no problem with somebody using the term pride. It means nothing. Whatever, that's fine. Black pride, gay pride, I'm black and I'm proud, say it loud, whatever, I don't care. That's not the issue.
So what's the but? What's the but?
There's no but. I'm talking about in reference to this last caller who has this incredible, he said, what are you proud about? I have black hair. This is this persnickety kind of nitpicking about the word pride. That's not the issue.
What is?
The issue that I'm talking about, how there is, when you have something, put it this way, when you say the name of this celebration is called Gay Pride, but there are people in the streets that say naked or doing all kinds of, things to basically show the rest of the world that there's no such thing as any kind of moral framework or...
Really? You're going to ride that train? Seriously?
Yeah.
You don't have friends? Tell me honestly.
Yeah.
You don't have friends who are straight, who do... What about, what's his name?
No, stop. Continue that thought. In public, In parades? No, I don't have.
No. Can I? No, he won't let me finish this.
No, but finish that thought. You said you have gays.
I would love
friends.
to finish my thought.
Yeah.
Finishing my thought involves you not interrupting me.
No, but finish it.
I'm trying.
Do it.
Do you not have friends who are heterosexual who may live, unusual lifestyles like Roger Stone?
We're not talking lifestyle. We're talking about it. No, stop. We're not talking about lifestyle.
Yeah,
Listen to me. Listen, focus.
I am.
We're not talking about lifestyles. Lifestyles mean nothing to me. I'm talking about in the street in front of children. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Why can't you grasp that?
Who says I can't?
You just said right now, your attempt to provide a riposte to what I'm saying is that, after all, don't you have friends whose lifestyles... No, we're not talking about lifestyles. So consequently, you're talking about something else. Nobody is saying...
Can I respond to the point you are making?
If you could.
About these public displays of uncovering genitals or things.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, it's not my style. But let me finish this before you jump in again. It's not my style. I don't think it necessarily is good PR for the movement. But
Stop.
I don't think it should be.
Stop.
I don't think it should be repressed.
It shouldn't be what?
Repressed.
Public exhibition. Stop for a second. Public exhibition of genitals, simulation, if not altogether, actual sexual congress in public, you're saying should not be repressed? Is that what you're saying?
No, you're saying that's what I'm saying. You're saying that. What I'm saying, are you ready to hear what I'm saying? Or
Would you
wanna
stop
cut me
asking me whether I want to hear what you're saying? Say it.
Do you have to scream? Jesus Christ.
Would you just say it?
You see, guys? You see what he does? He screams.
Would you just say it?
Yes, if you let me.
Say it.
See, I just want you to notice what he's doing.
Say it. Don't tell people what I'm doing.
He's a smart
say
man,
it.
And yet
say
he has to shut
say
other people who think differently.
Say it.
He has to shut them down.
Say it.
And make them feel
say
bad.
It. You're not saying it.
Man.
You don't have a point. You have no point.
I have many points.
Say it.
I have many points.
Say it.
But yours are on top of your head.
Say
it. I'm here.
Say
and
it.
I'm ready to say it.
What is the point?
I'm ready to say it.
Say
I don't speak easily with people being insane maniacs like you're being right now.
Now, say it.
Go ahead, honey. You're really promoting
it. Say it.
This is what you're calling.
Say it.
This is the MAGA.
You have nothing to say.
This is.
You're the wordsmith. You're the wordsmith. You have been not able to put together a cogent sentence. All you've been doing is telling people this is when nobody lets me say. One more time.
I could put everything together, honey.
Say it.
You just don't want to hear it.
I'm begging you. Say it. Say it.
I'm trying to breathe.
Say
Let me say it. Just shut up for a minute.
Say it.
Shut up.
No, just say it.
Okay?
Just say it.
How's that?
Say it, you old bat. Say it. You heard it. Say it. Say it. Say it. Let's go to Dr. Anthony in Astoria. Dr. Anthony, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Listen, you have me on the floor rolling. You are so funny, so intelligent. I would just love to have you as a classroom teacher. You would brighten the lives of so many children. You would open their minds to the world around them.
And I would provide a nice little prompt for them to encourage their own explication and expatiation by yelling, say it.
Well, I don't think you would say that much. But anyway.
Dr. Anthony, what are you a doctor of? What are you a doctor of, please?
Doctor of Education.
Aha. You and Jill Biden.
I think I could probably teach her
a thing or two. Yes, indeed. So, talk to me, sir.
I want to say that you and me, we all come from the same era. I mean, when I was growing up, my parents put me from a Catholic school into a public school, and the education was the same. It wasn't inferior. It wasn't better. It was the same. I mean, when teachers started to show because they were pregnant, they couldn't be in the classroom any longer. After the third or fourth month, we had a substitute teacher for the rest of the year. That's maybe a little bit too extreme to today's norms.
I'm sorry. What is the? I hate to say. What is the point of that? That's terrible. But what is the point of that example? What does that tell us?
Well, it tells us about society, what is acceptable and non-acceptable. They thought in the 1960s...
No, I know that. I know that. Yes, I understand that.
When I was growing up, that you shouldn't see a woman through the 9
No, I understand
months of
that.
development.
So therefore, in view of gay pride or whatever, make the connection, if you will. So therefore, what?
So therefore, well, today's a perfect example. I was between 9th and 10th Avenue walking down the street with my nephew on 48th, and there was a gay man sitting on the sidewalk with a big sign, and he said that straight people are perverse and give me money.
And there you have it. That's that's a kind of an industriousness I think we should all kind of admire in a weird way. There's something to be said for people who are able to follow a logical course of a discussion. There's something to be said for that. This is Lionel with you on the other side of midnight. Our number is 800-848-9222, 22222. Let me see if I can explain this to you so that even you can understand. Okay? What you do or don't do in the privacy of your own home, your lifestyle, doesn't matter. Nobody cares. We're not talking about that. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody. This is not an anti-gay thing or pro-straight. No. When you have people who are walking around twerking, gyrating, thrusting, simulating coitus, and a variety of insertion exercises in public as you flop about your calopygian butox in public with your loins flashing and your pudenda exposed for all the world to see as you concomitantly exhibit pride. I'm so proud I want to show you my goods. I'm so proud. This is who I am. My sexuality, my particular preference, can only be appreciated if I'm allowed to do this in public. That's what I'm trying to say. And you think most people would say, you're demeaning us. You're making us, gay people, appear to be nothing but debauched, concupiscent, randy, and inappropriate children who only just think in terms of lust. That's it. I would think most people of that particular ilk would be upset by that. But no. That's a different story. That's the issue. The issue is not different strokes. But, I'm not really, that's not my cup of tea. Excuse me, we're not talking about your cup of tea. And without due respect, we're not saying, in the old days, if a teacher were pregnant, we're not talking about that. Nobody's talking about that. This is inapposite. This is irrelevant. Nobody is discussing that. Nobody. What we're talking about is something very simple. We're talking about something very, very simple. We're talking about very simply this. If you want to live in a world that basically provides no, I don't want what the word is, no decorum, no rule. Let me give you an example. Let's say I decide that I want to have this thing called comedy or theater pride. I'm proud. And I want to expose blackface and Stepin Fetchit and Amos and Andy and all of the what is the guy, Willie, what's his name? All of these typical, stereotypical, always frightened, this, I don't know. This is over and over. And kids, young black kids, all they see is me just emphasizing this over and over. And I kind of, by virtue of this, say, no, I'm merely giving you my version of this. I would be shut down immediately. Immediately. You can't do that. Why? Well, because it's just, well, I'm not even talking about the subject matter. I'm saying, is there anything that we believe in? I mean, should there be a law that says you can't walk down the street nude? Should there be? I think so. Don't you think so? I think so. You think it's okay for society to be able to say, don't do that? Do you know that in the state of New York, you gentlemen probably didn't know this, but last I checked, it is not against the law to be topless in New York. Did you know that? No, I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not saying it's recommended. I'm just telling you there is no law against that. Should there be? Let other people decide. We're not talking about anything other than the fact that there is a systematic reduction or elimination of the laws that basically provide decency. Yes, I'm going to say that. Decency. You got that? Good. Let's go back to the phones, back to what I call fun. Show me in Missouri. Get it? KMOX territory. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Paisano.
Who? McDonald's?
Paisano.
Oh, Paisano. How are you?
I would like to propose. I mean, why haven't we thought of it yet? Breeders' Pride Parade. When people ask me what my whatever pronoun was, breeder.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, pride goes before the fall. What happened to virtues? What happened to seven deadly sins?
I have no idea. Do you?
Save us.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And you consider yourself a breeder. Is that correct? That's what the heteros are called, right? The breeders? Like the breeders.
Exactly.
All right.
They cower at the word.
All righty. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Let's go back to the phones, back to what I call fun. AJ in Texas. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yeah, Lionel, you nutshell. Yeah, that was a really exhilarating radio right there with that, with the woman. I just think it kind of underscores the fact that the train has left the station in the sense that, we really have just kind of, I think a lot of it has to do with the internet and just the slow drip kind of way that culture has kind of descended into this anything goes and everybody's a victim. But what's really was frustrating about that exchange was that the woman, ultimately, she did blink when she kind of just said, well, I don't think anybody should be repressed. So I know a guy with
but aside from that, and this is what's important, nobody's suggesting that.
Yeah, but
nobody.
That's the point. Right.
The issue is very simply this. Do you think there should be some type of limitation as to what people can do in public? And do you think it is in any way beneficial, or that I have a right, or anybody has a right to say, this is ridiculous. This is disgusting. Now, that has nothing to do, it has nothing to do with being gay. There are people who have been arrested, heterosexuals or breeders, for having sexual activity in public. And it's not a question about whether heterosexuality is okay. It's the appropriateness of this. That's the issue. Tom in Hell's Kitchen. Tom, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hi, Lionel. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
It seems like all the crimes that the mafia was known for back when I was young are becoming legal. You touched on prostitution and sex work, but there's also gambling.
Interesting.
Now there's drugs, pot stores all over the place. Use of drinking and smoking pot in public. Selling of stolen goods on the streets. They're shoplifting from stores.
Or eBay or Amazon, or because these things are resold. You know, Tom, you are absolutely 100% correct. I never thought about this. That which was prohibited, that which was verboten, is now acceptable now, is now okay and cool and kosher. Absolutely 100% correct.
The Gambino family would be rolling in their graves if they could look at us now.
And what's also, I think, interesting is that this is being done, and it's not just, by the way, well, let me change subjects just for a moment. There is a move now, and this is going to be very difficult. People are saying, what are we going to do with all these Muslims? You know, we've got this Muslim guy who wants to be mayor, this Muslim, and I'm thinking, now be careful with that. Be careful. Because there was a time when people would say, well, you know, we got this Jew running or this Catholic running, and people are systematically throwing him into the mix because, or emphasizing the fact that he's a Muslim. Here's my question. Keeping in mind that the First Amendment provides basically unfettered ability or discretion or unfettered ability to express one's faith without having it encroached upon by government. How would you ever tell somebody that they can't run for something, for some particular office because of the fact that they're Muslim? Why does that even come up?
I think we have to challenge their extreme beliefs. We have to separate the Muslims from tolerant Muslims to the whack jobs that think everybody's an infidel.
If somebody believes that somebody is an infidel, and they act upon it. Let me say this again. If they act upon it, you can think whatever you want so long as you don't act upon it. But let's assume you do. Let's assume you manifest or you do something that takes this particular way of thinking and hurt somebody. Then it's the action that's the problem, not what you thought. If somebody walked around and said, I am, and the term is used incorrectly, I am a jihadist, and I am, and I just say this, and I believe death to the infidels. Okay? And that's what I believe. Have you done anything? No, I'm just telling you this. I'm just saying this. That's legal. Unfortunately, under this construct called the First Amendment, that's legal. That's like when people suggest that when Iran supposedly says death to America, that does not provide the okay for us to bomb them into oblivion because they said something. Just remember what we're talking about. I have not uttered, nor have I in any way evinced any kind of dissatisfaction or any objection to anything that goes on in the city of New York yesterday because of somebody being gay. I don't care if you're gay or straight. Anybody who does this in public, I think should be stopped. Not because I'm a prude. If you want to twerk your ass off, literally. I don't care. Whatever you want to do, it does not matter. In public is another story. It's that simple. Jane in Brooklyn. Jane, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Oh, hello. I want to know whether it would be considered anti-Semitic if you said Israel should not have the bomb. And in fact, I don't think anyone in the Middle East should have the atomic bomb.
You ask whether that's anti-Semitic, I would say no. Absolutely not.
So why is it that Israel has the bomb? If they let go the bomb, it's going to, I don't know
I don't know, because the official, I do not believe, even though everybody says it is absolutely 100% certain, I do not believe there has been an official admission of such. And if there was an official admission of such, then there would be open for inspections or whatever. So that's an interesting point. But the question you said, which is, I think, is the most important. If you said something about, if you said, I don't like Israeli food, is that anti-Semitic? No. I don't like the Israeli weather. No. I don't like the Israeli people. No, wait a minute. What do you mean? Well, versus French. You see, once you get into something, because of this unique category, because Israel and Judaism have been so connected, which is what some people are suggesting is the problem. And I don't want to get into the whole Zionism thing. It's a whole other story. There are some people who say, I'm only talking about the country. But then there are other people who, believe it or not, say, oh, no, I'm talking about the faith, but I'm hiding it as such. Let me leave you with the $1 million question. Let's assume you hate members of the Jewish faith, or you hate members of the Catholic faith, or the Lutherans, or whatever, Baha'is, or Zoroastrians. Is that okay to merely hate them? Can you say these things? Have you ever heard of anybody in the college campus being thrown off because they hate America? Of course not. Or you hate the Vatican? Or you hate the Pope? Or you hate the Knights of Columbus? No. Do you see where the problem is? The problem is, how is it okay for thee and not for me, or whatever the particular version of that is? Our number is 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. This is Lionel with you on the other side of midnight. Let's go back to the phones. We're talking about a veritable, just a plethora of a cacophony, a seriously endless list of subject matter, which I find so fascinating. Let's go back to what I call fun. Let's go to, Mike in Queens. Mike, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yes, sir. The future mayor, I call him Mad Manny.
Huh?
I call the future mayor Mad Manny instead of Mom Donnie. How about Mad Manny?
Okay.
So,
funny.
Luther Rose. Did they get any real action shots of him working the crowd at the gay parade? Because
yes.
I think some of it...
Yes. Okay. Alrighty. Isn't telephony great? Let's go back to the phones. Stephen, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Man.
What is these phone? Okay, there we go. I'm sorry. Stephen, anytime.
Can you hear me?
Do I fear you? No, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Oh, how we doing? How you doing, man? I've been listening for a couple of hours, or like an hour now, man. I really like your show.
Good. Excellent.
You are a real wordsmith, man. How is it okay for thee and not for me?
Yeah.
That's a story of a black man in America. I ain't gonna lie, man.
I'm not gonna argue.
I'm not gonna that all the time.
I'm not gonna argue necessarily. Well, what do you think, David?
I ask myself that all the time, man. But as far as the gay pride stuff, I'm with you on that. I just don't get why they have to make public displays about what they do in the bedroom. I just don't get why is that an issue? I just don't get it.
But I would think that there would be people who were gay who would themselves say, why is it that we are giving people the idea that the beginning and the end, the Alpha, the Omega, all that we have to deal with, all that we have to say is about sex. That's it.
Right.
Right.
And then for you to make it to where kids have the option to pick what sex they are, when did we get to America where we are giving kids the option to sexualize themselves and figure out what they're about to do in the future? Kids not even supposed to think about that. Kids supposed to be innocent until at least 13, 14. But
one would hope
it'd be kids that's 3 years old that's transgender and all this crazy. I just don't get it.
You know,
how did
Stephen,
we get here?
What I find interesting about children who claim to be transgender at that early of an age, there are kids who don't even know their favorite color. And yet they're trying to identify themselves. That's a different issue completely, I think. But what's happening right now is we're seeing something. This is not about standards being changed. This is about people going out and being told, listen, push it. Push it so that we want you arrested. We want to put on a show. We are not here to acclimate, to fit in, to be a part of society. We are here to... No, well, thank you so much. There's a certain... You could hear something tells me he was a little relaxed. You know what I'm saying? A little relaxed, perhaps, maybe by virtue of some type of artificial adjuvant to his otherwise tenuous grip on reality. Let's go to Chris in Chicago, WGN country. Chris, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Good morning. You're a funny guy.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Say it. That was great. Hey, just to condense these arguments. Now, you mentioned Israel and the Gay Pride Parade.
Well, not simultaneously, but yes, those two different topics were brought up, correct.
Well, let's just talk about the Gay Pride Parade. We let them get away with it because of what they've been through. But I think what happens with the Gay Pride Parade is that they dilute their message in the forward-facing image of their movement is this rampant display of public sexuality. And on the one hand, it could be considered entertaining, but on the other hand, they're driving people away that would otherwise support, like the NFL wears, the gay pride, and we have gay pride events in Major League Baseball. But these kind of displays kind of drive a wedge between actual support of gay pride and then the overt display of these actions in public make people think, well, I don't support that.
Well, I think some people might be saying that they are not interested in the least in, how do I say this? They're not interested in having you accept who they are, or you tolerating who they are, or you giving permission for who they are. They would say, this is our way of thinking. And as is oftentimes the case, it being 30 past the hour on the other side of midnight, what they're saying is, I want to go out and I want to not only scare you, but I enjoy this sense of, how do I say this? Forcing you to be uncomfortable. Because, again, their goal is not any kind of acceptance. I don't care whether you accept anything. It's like, here I am, basically eat it. This is what we do. Tough luck. Swallow it. Watch us. And if you don't like it, the hell with it. There's something wrong with you. Sad to say, that's what I think part of it is. And you would think, would you not, Chris, would you not think that somebody would want to come forward and say something to the effect of, listen, there is a... Well, but there are people who say, these people, what if you saw a contingent? I mean, I'm not telling them what to do, but what if there was a contingent of people who said, for example, these are men who, let's say, led the country in battle, or men who were responsible for, let's say, police officers or doctors or whatever, to show that, look how many people who are gay. Look what they did. Gays in Hollywood, gays in art, gays in movies, gays in this, gays in the military, gays in sports, gays, to say, you know what? You're right. Let's have acceptance. No, it seems as though acceptance is not even of any concern. This is a different story. That I find fascinating.
Well, it'd be interesting if you had a caller out there, whoever's listening, have a caller who is part of that movement, give their view of that overt display. Does it dilute their message? Do they support it? Do they tolerate it for one?
Sometimes I know we are under the constraints I know. Remember I told you the other night about the S word, how facile it was. Let's use the word she, okay? Like he, she, okay. What he said was, he says, and I always said, well, how long have you been gay? Me? She. It's such a perfect, it's like, come on. Out of all the things in the world, so facile. I often, I kind of, frankly, how did we say this? I don't even know what I'm saying. Rusty in Queens. Rusty, you're on with me, Lionel.
All right. Why do these people always got to have a gay, a Pride Month, a Black Month? We have St. Patty's Day. We have Columbus Day. If I was the mayor, you could say you have your day. Now, what I got to hear is baloney for a month.
Well, they always say the point you're making is Black History Month.
Yeah.
And,
so why is it all got to be months? Can't it be a day?
And when you talk about, for example, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, that's a very good point. Let's start off with a couple of premises here. The first premise is that nobody cares, honest to God. Nobody ever really sits up at night and wakes up and says, bolts out of bed and says, I can't believe many people are gay. There's so many people who are gay. No, nobody cares. We've known it. There's nothing you can do. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. Put it this way. Let me see if I can rephrase this. I think that Mardi Gras is a wonderful event. Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is fun. Mardi Gras is so classic. The French Quarter and New Orleans. But there were rules as far as being drunk and being a variety of things. Okay? I got it. I understand it completely and totally, without a doubt. But what we're talking about here is a little something different. A little bit different. We're talking about the ability to say that something is not, dare I say, acceptable by virtue of the activity. For example, like I said, Mardi Gras, it's great. Can't be drunk. Women who sometimes would pull their tops up, people would say, okay, that might be tradition, but that's not appropriate. There are kids. I'd say the same thing. Nobody has anything against women. Nobody, we're not saying anything about breasts. We're not saying anything about that at all. What we're saying is that, why are you doing that? It's so simple. It's simple. Mike in South Carolina. Mike, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Buongiorno, Lionel. Buongiorno.
Thank you, Mikey.
I just tuned in a couple of minutes ago. I was telling Elias. I'm happily divorced.
Okay.
Happily retired.
Okay.
But as far as it's a shame with the gay parade, shootings all over the country. And my opinion is, hey, live your life. Just don't wave the flag of gay and transgender in my face. Waving at somebody else's flag.
Well, I don't have any problem with somebody actually who wants to wave any kind of flag. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't care. I'm not going to ever pass judgment on what you're saying or why you want to say it, if indeed it's something that's important to you. What I can say is anything that involves violence, something that's sexually inappropriate. Years ago, they haven't really done this in a while, but years ago, there was a suggestion that, what was it, the Puerto Rican Day Parade? There was always fighting or shooting or something. So they said. And they said, you know what, we're going to have to maybe shut this thing down because there's always some kind of violence or shooting or I'm not suggesting that's true. But if that were the case, I would have no problem in saying, well, you know what? Shut it down then. Not because there's anything wrong with these people, but by virtue of this tangential issue that happens to get in the way. That's what we're talking about. That's all. There's nothing.
Yes. No, I agree with your point of view, Lionel. I do. But, that is the climate that we live in. That's the climate
Do you remember this? There was a thing called it's a feline reference. It was pudendal in nature. It rhymes with a wussy, and it was a particular hat that some of these. Okay. Now, these women would march wearing this hat. I don't know what the purpose of it was. I don't even know what the hell they were talking about. But that's okay. That's all right. I don't care. As long as they, now remember, who was it? Madonna was, I think she was talking about, she wanted to blow the president up or something. I think it was Ashley Judd who was talking about, remember, her menstrual something or other? Okay, it was incoherent. I don't have a problem with that either. I don't care. Speech means nothing to me. Say whatever you want, as long as it's not excitatory to the point where you might suggest that it's somehow countenancing or inspiring riots. That being said, I don't care what the speech is. You don't understand. I'm an absolutist. Say what you want. Seriously. I mean, even the notion of provocation and inciting I have a problem with. But when somebody is there, basically, with their ass hanging out, twerking in front of kids, please.
Right.
You lost me there.
Yeah. You know, Lionel, too bad I wasn't up in, I just came back from New York. I'm in Virginia now. I'm getting ready to drive 240 miles to South Carolina, my condo. But you know what? Hey, I may not agree with what you have to say. You could say it, but just don't get in my face, literally, and don't wave the flag in my face.
But,
you know,
but waving the flag, I don't know what that means. To wave the flag. I don't know what that means. You can wave a flag. I don't care if you wave a flag. Go ahead, wave a flag. Yeah. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. The rainbow flag, that type of flag, and whatever floats your boat, people. Whatever floats your boat. I don't judge, but don't judge me. Don't judge me. I'm not judgmental.
Okay, I appreciate that. You know, it's so funny whenever we have Columbus Day. Okay, Columbus Day. Columbus Day parade, right? It's an Italian Day parade. Columbus didn't discover anything over here. I mean, it was Dominican Republic. I mean, he wasn't. What the hell are you? But listen, if that's what you want to do, hey, what are you gonna? You know. It doesn't matter to me. Like I said, when they say, you know, I'll tell you what, you people, you know, whatever you do is in your own business, your bedroom, that's your business. Do me a favor. Don't stick it in my face. Who's, okay, all right, maybe. What does that mean? Don't march. Don't march with your flag. They can't march with the flag? No, just keep it quiet. Well, what if they march silently? Okay, maybe. No. And I don't care if you're proud about being right-handed. I don't care. You can have the right-handed parade. What do I care? That's not the point. The point is, well, you know my point. Frankie in Glendale. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yeah, we're talking about days and 4 days we're going to have Independence Day. Maybe the Americans should, you worry about flags? Fly the American flag on your house. Go buy a flag for $10, $11 in a big box store. Display the flag. Stick it to them if you don't like their parade. Let the Americans go out there and parade around. That's what I say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. You know, do you ever have somebody say something where you're not really sure what he said, but there's no reason to object to it because, well, first of all, you don't know what he said. You know what? Tell you what, you take yours. Hey, you got your. What's wrong with going to a box store, getting the flag? You want to do that? Why don't you do that? Huh? Okay, sure. Well, nobody's arguing with you. Yeah, why don't you do that? We are going to do that. Okay, but we are going to do that. I know, but still. Why didn't you try that? We are going to do it. We do it every year. Okay. But what? Say it. Anyway, let's go to Robert in New York. Robert, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Good morning, Lionel. I have the perfect formula for behavior from my point of view, and it goes
love it.
Like this.
Thank you. Tell us.
I don't know if this was uttered by Oscar Wilde or James I of England, when one of them said the following: "Let any Englishman do whatever he so wishes to do, except he shouldn't do it in public, because then it might frighten all the horses in the neighborhood and make them jump up and down on the street and get nervous."
That was Queen Victoria when they asked her was she thought about Oscar Wilde, and he said, "What about homosexuality?" And she wasn't really sure with everybody. Because, well, as long as it doesn't scare the horses.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's a perfect way of behavior, Lionel.
Indeed.
Perfect way. Now, by the way, did you pursue the 25 different versions of Sir Lionel for your benefit and listen to any of them?
Yes, and I'm up to number 18, and I will. And I thank you so much for that. Believe me, you made my day and you made my night. Our number is 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. This is The Other Side of Midnight with Lionel.
The Other Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Greg Kelly here for Colonial Metals Group. China's leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II, one that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Go to freegoldguide.com/Kelly or call 800-655-5186 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.
Sid Rosenberg here with big news. I'm going to Cyprus, beautiful Cyprus, in July with my beautiful wife Danielle to celebrate our 33rd wedding anniversary. We're going to the Cap St. George's Hotel and Resort, beachside luxury, incredible restaurants, a world-class spa, even a nightclub, plus private fishing trips and private yacht excursions. Visit Cap St. George's Hotel and Resort, where dreams meet reality. Visit capstgeorges.com.
This is 77 WABC Newsroom Extra.
Get ready for a great softball showdown on Sunday, July 20th, with net proceeds benefiting Shriners children. There's going to be a home run derby, but Sid and friends in the morning aren't prepared.
Sid versus Noam Layden
in a home run hit? I've never hit a home run in my life.
I know
how to swing a baseball bat? I don't know.
And my shoulder was ripped into shreds. So
this is going to be great.
I don't know what they're talking about.
I'll do it. Oh, can you be my what do they call that word?
Listen, Justin. Who loves you more than me? Who gives you on-air opportunities every day? No one's going there to see you, Justin, okay?
I'll calm down. I am.
They want me to do this.
Justin.
I can't do it.
I'll carry around the life-size portrait of you. I'll cut off your head. I'll take
You'll be a ringer.
Yeah, exactly.
Gates open at 9:30 in the morning at the Staten Island home of the Ferry Hawks. For more information and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
The Other Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Underline the underscore of this thing of ours. Let's go to a Jim in Nutley. You're next.
Hi, Lionel.
How are you, Jim?
Good. This parade shouldn't surprise anybody. That whole town, New York City, is disgusting. I don't know why anybody would go there, work there, go there as tourists. It's a disgusting place. So anything goes over there. So.
You have that is the most ignorant thing I have ever heard anybody ever say in my entire life.
Why do you say that?
This is the epicenter of so much more than, and with all due respect to Nutley, a fine, fine place. But there is nothing like it. There is nothing like this. Do I have to remind you what is here in New York? And by the way, not just New York. This is emblematic of what's happening around the world. But when I hear people say this, it's like, when was the last time you were in the city?
When the last time when they had the Titanic expedition.
When was that?
When?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe like 10 years ago.
So you live in Nutley, New Jersey, and
Yes.
you never come to New York? Never?
Nope. I can't even stand the sight of the New York skyline.
Oh, come on, Jim. See, you're not being.
I swear to God.
Why?
I want to see mountains and trees. I don't want to see. I don't.
Well, what
wanna
are you
see
doing in Nutley, New Jersey?
What's that?
What are you doing in Nutley, New Jersey, then?
What do you mean? What am I doing in here?
If you want to see mountains and trees, what are you doing in New Jersey?
Well, because I'm close to my job.
Okay.
I just happen to be. It's not the ideal place where I want to live. But at 75 years old, I'm too old to move.
I don't. Is the term adventurous ever used regarding you at all? Does that ever become a part of anything?
Sure. Sure it does.
I mean, exciting. Do you ever try new things? Do you like new adventure?
Yes, if I would have time to do it.
Okay. Wow. Put it this way. I would hope that if, well, I don't want to say anything, but if ever, put it this way, I have strict instructions. If ever you hear me say anything like that, ever, do me a favor, put a pillow over my head. Please, I beg you. Russ in White Plains, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hi, Lionel. The 4th of July celebrates a U.S. slaveocracy that wanted to separate from England because they were outlawing slavery. It has explosions and violence and annually tons of injuries and death. Why do we celebrate the 4th of July, with or without flags for morons in South Carolina?
Russ, come on, man.
Yeah, why?
Do you really? Seriously?
The animals hate it. A minority of people insist
the
on it.
Animals.
The majority.
Wait a minute. Stop. Let's do this slowly. Don't be like our friend before. The animals hate it?
Right. They get freaked out by the explosions every year. The explosions bother certain dogs and cats.
Do you know how long and do you know how many events on this planet since the beginning of time have been punctuated with fireworks and the like?
The point is the violence involved is being
celebrated. No, now you're changing the subject. So let's get rid of the scaring the animals part because you didn't really mean that. Mm-hmm. Now, what else?
Explosions represent
Would you
violence.
have preferred that we not extricate ourselves from the control of England?
I wasn't there at the time.
No, I didn't. Now stop for a second. You realize that you would have just eliminated any discussion of history because most people were not there during the time. Now, let's be intellectually consistent. Are you suggesting that it would have been much better had we not extricated ourselves, detached ourselves from England? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't see Canada attacking.
You're not answering my question.
Right.
Would you prefer?
I am because Canada didn't separate. Canada's a country that seems more civilized.
That's because Canada, let's face it, they are important. Let me go back to your question. Are you suggesting that we would be better off if we were still subject to England as our ruler, so to speak? Is that what you're saying? No, you don't. Now, because Russ, let me tell you something. You're a good sport, and that was a good shot. It was a good try. You got me. Everything was going great until you got the animals part. Then it's like it went completely downhill. But I like your style. Seriously, I like your style. You call me anytime, my friend.
Okay.
All righty. That's good. Let's go to Joe in Ronkonkoma. Joe, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, Lionel, I agree with you 100% about them running around, shaking their body parts. But just listening, the world is falling apart. And then you get Russ calling about Independence Day. I mean, come on, it's celebrating America. I agree with Frank from Glendale. Get a flag. Go out, put it out in front of your house, and whatever you support, that's fine with me. But these people showing their body parts and the little kids, Lionel, I agree with you 100%. It's immoral, it's disgusting, and this is what the world. We can thank Joe Biden and that.
Well, no. Joe Biden had nothing to do with it because Joe Biden was not in charge of anything. But the thing is, Joe, the same argument can be made during Mardi Gras. It's not just, it has nothing to do with gay anything. If for some reason, I'll be honest with you. Another one I don't understand is whenever there's a championship or something that is won by some team and they break out into riots and turn cars over, I don't understand that either. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree with you.
So what I'm trying to say, perhaps in a rather circuitous way, is that there's something that is so strange and so demented about missing the point. And the sad part is, I'll bet you there are so many people around the country gay people, men and women, who say, my sexuality does not define who I am. Does your heterosexuality define you? It's a part of you. It's an aspect of you.
Exactly.
But does it define you? When you walk in, do you vote as a heterosexual? Do you drive down the street as a heterosexual? No. This is the thing that I've never understood how many people over and over. First of all, I've got to go back to this particular premise. I would venture to say that a huge majority, I should say, of people who claim to be transgender are not transgender. They're not.
Yep.
That this is a performative type of thing. Somebody recently came out with the idea, this is a while back, who said, let's cover our dermal real estate with tattoos. Okay, fine. Then somebody said, that's not enough. Let's do studs. And okay, fine, piercing, great. Let's do our hair pink and this and that, and let's go out of our way to say, here I am, look at me. This is some kind of an ostentatious version of whatever it is that I'm doing. I'm not suggesting that you can't do that. It's none of my business. But there are so many people so bereft of individual accomplishment. They haven't done anything. This is as close to anything as they can get. This is like people who do Instagrams standing in the bathroom taking a picture of themselves. They want to stand out. And there are people who I know, and you can see them, who say, look, the best part is, what do they do Monday after the Gay Pride Parade? What do they do? Go back to work? Do they just somehow secrete back into society? Lucy, you're on the Lionel Show.
Yeah, good morning. I was just thinking, isn't it illegal to yell fire in a crowded room?
In a crowded room?
In a theater.
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing, I don't want to see anybody brushing their teeth or clipping their nails either. And it's something.
No, stop for a second. Stop. Wait, stop. This is these are two random thoughts that aren't even remotely connected. First of all, you cannot yell theater in a crowded fire, which is even worse. Okay, that's fine. Clipping your nails, I don't like to see this. This has nothing to do with what I like or don't like. That's not it. There's a lot of stuff I don't like to see. A lot of it. There was a guy the other day walking around. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing more and more of derelicts walking down the street. And there was a fellow who walked out with virtually 3/4 of his anal cleft exposed to the world. Now, I didn't want to see that. It doesn't come up that often. I'm not going to lose my mind. It happens. We're not talking the plumber's Greg. This guy was a degenerate. He was a vagrant, a derelict, whatever you want to call it. Okay, fine. I don't want to see that either. There's a lot of stuff. Do you remember a while back? Maybe you don't remember this. But all of a sudden they had muffin tops. Remember that? All of a sudden, muffin tops. Let me wear bare midriff, like a panis, a paniculus, a spare tire, as they call it. I don't want to see that either. I don't want to see. I have a personal distaste for excessive tattooing. But my likes and dislikes have nothing to do with your ability to express yourself, or sometimes things which I might consider to be not to my liking. That's not what I'm talking about. Everybody knows precisely what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing things that are meant directly and deliberately to shock and to horrify and to be visually and societally obstreperous. That is exactly what I'm talking about. You know it and I know it. And as far as people being proud of stuff, what gay people have had to endure throughout history, from Alan Turing to Oscar Wilde, we can go down the list, that cannot be forgotten. I don't want to forget that. I don't think that's irrelevant. I think it's very relevant. I think it's very critical to our understanding of humanity and everything else. However, and here's a big but here, big but coming along here. However, this has nothing to do with basically doing something which amounts to being almost visually assaultive, if that makes any sense to you. All right. My friends, I want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of this. You have no idea. Let me remind you, if you want to get a hold of me, if you want to drop me a line, say hello, or whatever your thoughts are, LionelMedia.com, LionelMedia.com. And to you, Mr. Elias, Mr. Riffraff, you have done a yeoman's job tonight. How you didn't lose your cool once is amazing. And to you, our friend Mr. Blaze here, who is still celebrating, still regaling, still recovering from his wild, debauched birthday weekend, thank you as well, because you are the backbone of this thing. Thank you so much, my friends. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for listening to us and joining us every night. And until we meet again, remember this valedictory: the monkey's dead, the show's over, sue ya, da-da.